Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'd all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Sean, will you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Here.
Councilmember DeCoursey.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Pelosa.
Here.
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
Thank you. We will move into presentations and proclamations, but just a quick reminder, please, we cannot have anyone blocking the exit ways, and the door into council chambers must remain open because this is an open public meeting. So I ask that you please clear the exit areas so that if there is any need for an emergency evacuation, we have clear access. This is for the safety of everyone here. We typically don't have quite this many people in our audience. It's wonderful to see everyone. Thank you for being here. But again, we just need to make sure that we are providing for the safety of everyone here this evening. All right, first on the agenda this evening, excuse me, is a proclamation for Affordable Housing Week. We have with us this evening Sylvia Furstenberg from Nexus, formerly known as Auburn Youth Resources, and Joy Scott from the King County Housing and Homelessness Partnership. Welcome, welcome. All right, let me read the proclamation, and then I believe, Sylvia, you have a few words that you would like to share.
Yes.
All right, so whereas all people should have access to safe, healthy, and affordable homes within communities of opportunity, and whereas studies have found that each $100 increase in median rent results in a 15% increase in homelessness in metro areas and a 39% increase in homelessness in nearby suburbs and rural areas, that includes Auburn, and whereas the 2016 one-night count found over 100 people in our community sleeping outdoors without shelter in January of that year, and nearly 27,000 families in King County are considered housing insecure because they are spending more than half of their income on rent and utilities. And whereas the All Home community aims to make homelessness rare, brief, and one time, everyone benefits from affordable housing, including the people who reside in these properties, their neighbors, businesses, employers, and the community as a whole. In addition, the combined cost burden of housing plus transportation can be substantially reduced by locating affordable housing opportunities in proximity to transit. And whereas the Association of Washington Cities determined that human services, homelessness, and affordable housing were critical priorities for the 2016-2017 legislative session, and united in an effort to raise public awareness, and communities throughout King County are participating in local Affordable Housing Week efforts to inform the public of the critical needs to preserve and/or increase affordable housing in our communities. And whereas the City of Auburn endorses the goals, objectives, and purposes of Affordable Housing Week, and in doing so, recommits itself to ensuring that our community thrives with opportunity and that all people live with dignity and safe, healthy, and affordable homes. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through the 22nd, 2017 as Affordable Housing Week in the City of Auburn, and urge all citizens to recognize organizations and explore resources to achieve and maintain affordable and responsible housing. Dated the 15th day of May, 2017. Sylvia, let me share that with you.
Thank you, Mayor Backus and the City Council. I'm Sylvia Furstenberg, Executive Director of Nexus Youth and Families, formerly Auburn Youth Resources. I want to thank you for proclaiming May 15th to the 22nd as Affordable Housing Week and for your recognition of the urgent need for affordable homes in our community. As your proclamation states, Too many students in our classrooms do not have a stable place to call home, and too many young people and families in our city are struggling to just stay housed. Our goals for Affordable Housing Week are not only to call attention to the level of need, but also to highlight policy solutions and the important work that is currently being done to make a difference for youth and young adults in South King County like we do at Nexus. Such ordinances that prevent source of income discrimination for everyone in our community and others that pave the way for building affordable housing in Auburn are critical. We hope you will join us for some events that are planned and beyond this week. We hope you will continue to support affordable homes with all the tools available to you. Thank you again for taking the time to issue this proclamation and your dedication on this issue.
Joy, did you have anything to say?
I just wanted to thank Mayor Backus and members of the council for Auburn continuing to be a member of the South King Housing and Homelessness Partnership. My name is Joy Scott, and I'm the South King County Housing Planner with the Homeless Partnership. You may recognize my name from many emails that fly to your inbox. And I would like to invite you, if you are able to attend this week on Wednesday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. at Highline College. Sarah, who is in the audience, she could raise her hand, and myself will be offering a workshop that is specifically geared toward city council members in particular of local policy tools that you can utilize in order to address affordable housing needs and homelessness within your communities. So please let me know if you'd like any more information on that, and thank you again for taking the time to issue the proclamation this evening.
Thank you. And Joy and Sylvia, if you would please go forward and accept the appreciation of council. All right, and next on the agenda is to honor May 22nd as Never Again Day. This is for Executive Order number 9066, and I have a few people that I would like to invite up this evening. First is Reverend Koshin Ogui. Reverend?
Instead of giving my poor message, I like to lead prayer and short moment of reflection. So either bow the head, respecting your prayer. Please join me in a moment of reflections and prayer. We are proud of the recognitions by the leaders of the city of Auburn, under leadership of Mayor Nancy Backus, all council persons, and the community to proclaim May 22nd as Never Again Executive Order 9066. May we remind ourselves that all people deserve to be respected and treated equally under the law in our community and nation. May we strongly oppose any actions that lead to discrimination toward any group, regardless of their gender, sex, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, national origin, or religion. Any religions should promote to respect each one's life and peace and harmony based on the principle, not to promote hostility, not to segregation, not to war. I like to repeat these portions. Any religions should promote to respect each one's life and peace and harmony based on the principle, not to promote hostility, not to segregation, not to war. May the wisdom of the leaders of city of Auburn, help them make creative decisions for betterment for the city, which is recognized for their compassion and respected by the other cities and other nations. Silence will remain for your respective player. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Yay!
Thank you, Reverend Ogui. I understand that this evening we have with us to accept the proclamation Mr. Lewis Hatfield's daughter. Is that correct? Is she here? Yes, please come forward. So I just want to give a little background here. Mr. Hatfield
It's a long story.
It is a long story. So I'll just read you a little bit of Mr. Hatfield's letter or story. 68 years ago, I married Margaret Gosney in Auburn. She had graduated from Auburn High School in 1944 after attending the city school since first grade. Until April 1942, she enjoyed friendships with many fellow students who, like her, were born in this country, but unlike her, had parents or grandparents who were not born in the USA. Some of her classmates came from homes where English was not the language most spoken. These friends had to have enough Japanese to know what their parents were saying. Another factor that made the lives of Margaret's Japanese friends seem somewhat alien and mysterious was that after their return from American schools on weekdays and on Saturdays, a large percentage of the students were required to attend the Japanese cultural school that was located across the railroad tracks from her home. To Margaret and her non-Japanese classmates, however, they were just fellow students in the regular school classrooms. Margaret included some of them as best friends, with whom she kept mail contact even after they were moved with their families to the internment centers like Minidoka, Idaho. In fact, last year she got Christmas cards from two sisters who were moved to Japan by their father, who was angered by government treatment of his family. It was a shock to Margaret and her friends from non-Japanese homes to watch their classes shrink in size that April. One day, the American Japanese were attending classes with them. The next day, their desks were empty. And soon after, they were being sent with their families to assembly centers like the Puyallup Fairgrounds for shipment to relocation centers like Minidoka, Idaho, Tule Lake, or Manzanara, California. And Hart Mountain. After going together to school all these previous years, it was impossible for Margaret and her classmates suddenly to see their erstwhile student friends as possible enemies. The U.S. Constitution had already made automatic citizens out of all children born in this country. It is amazing but true that about 2/3 of interned American Japanese families were legal American citizens. It's also true that American Japanese were interned as families, which included infants, aging persons, and disabled members. Mayor Backus and Council, we feel it's time for the people of our area to thank our friends of Japanese descent for the magnificent resilience and dignity they displayed while enduring the incredible injustice of their treatment during World War II. Perhaps Auburn has already carried out a thank you gesture of some kind in the past, but if so, it's not in our collective memory. While a considerable amount of reparation money was dispersed by the U.S. government to individuals, it lacked the impact of a sincere area-wide From the Heart program in which the entire community can feel involved. Now, Mr. Lewis wrote that, or Mr. Hatfield wrote that heartfelt letter. And I will tell you that Mr. Hatfield also had a bucket list. On that bucket list, Mariners get to the World Series, act in Tom Sawyer the musical, spearhead efforts to recognize Auburn Japanese Americans who were interned during World War II, in process. Visit Liz and Chris in Port Angeles, tour the new Federal Way High School, has it been completed? Offer the idea for event, invite at least one member of each Federal Way High School graduating class. Apply for VA pension, again. And number 7, see Wicked. Now, I am sad to say that Mr. Hatfield has passed away, and I am so sorry for your loss. He must have been a tremendous man, and for you to have him as your father must have been a true blessing. We have a proclamation this evening, and I want to show you this. Patricia Cosgrove showed me this, and it says, in part, these are instructions to all persons of Japanese ancestry. No Japanese person will be permitted to move into or out of the above area after 12 o'clock noon, Friday, May 15th, 1942, without obtaining special permission from the representative of the Commanding General, Northwestern Sector, at the Civil Control Station located at Auburn High School Gymnasium, 711 East Main Street. May 15th. It's appropriate that we are here today to provide this honor and to proclaim. Whereas many Japanese people chose to emigrate to Auburn in the late 1800s and early 1900s, whereas the Japanese immigrants and their American-born children became important contributing members of the Auburn community, serving on PTAs, operating stores, farming the valley's rich soil, often gaining high marks in school, helping Auburn to become a prosperous and peaceful city. And whereas President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, all members of this thriving community were forcibly removed on May 22, 1942, and placed in American-run concentration camps, leaving a hole in our neighborhoods, our schools, churches, overall community, and hearts. And whereas after World War II, Japanese immigrants and their American-born families returned to Auburn, which continued that loss, and now therefore, I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim May 22nd as Never Again Executive Order 9066 Day in the City of Auburn, in hopes that no other such orders will be made throughout America and the City of Auburn's future. Dated this 15th day of May 2017, and it is my sincere honor to present you with this and ask if you would like to say a few words.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My mother is Margaret Gosney Hatfield, a native of Auburn. My dad, as you know, is Lewis Hatfield, and I'm doing my best to channel him right now. He would be so delighted to know that this is happening. In his last year, in August, when he wrote this letter to Mayor Backus, it was the last letter he was able to type with his own fingers. He was just diagnosed with ALS, that's Lou Gehrig's disease, a very strange thing to hit a person at the age of 93, but it did. He managed to type that letter. This was like moved to almost the top of his bucket list after the Mariners getting to the World Series. And through a strange series of events, in his last 2 weeks of life, my sister Tricia happened to she called Reverend Sala Sakia. She was connected with her. We were looking for somebody who could come and pray with our dad. And there was something about the Buddhist religion that just resonated with him. And that was what he needed. And she so kindly came to his hospice place twice, not once, but twice, to pray with him, sit with him, be with us. And we were all so comforted by that. I gave her a copy of my dad's letter. I thought she would just get a kick out of it, that there seemed to be some connection, and maybe this was a small part in helping to make reparations for what happened in World War II. And bless her heart, Reverend Sakia talked to Calvin Terada in the Seattle Betsuan Buddhist Temple. And I'm not sure how all of this happened, but somehow he was doing work with the city of Auburn. And maybe could we explain what he's doing?
Certainly.
Yeah, could you please come up and explain how this happened? I haven't even heard the whole story.
We need it on microphones.
Well, good evening. I'm Calvin Torada. I am the representative of Seattle Betsuin Buddhist Temple. And Reverend Sala did provide me with a copy of that letter. And it just happens that I am on the steering committee for looking at how to revitalize or take advantage of the Pioneer Cemetery that's here in Auburn. And myself and Charles Natsuhara and Patricia and Daryl and Craig Hudson, we are on that committee. And just happens that since I was with members of the city of Auburn, I thought maybe I would, by chance, pass Mr. Hatfield's letter and see if there was something that could be done. And by many fortuitous coincidences that we were able to link up and make this day happen. So again, thank you very much for making this day so special.
Thank you very much. And if you, are you finished? Did you have any more words? Yes. Okay.
So I got an email from Calvin Tirada on my father's phone 2 weeks after he died, telling what was happening. And I was so blessed and so happy to get that email. The whole family is. So thank you, and never again. Never again. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you please go forward and accept the appreciation of council? Nancy, thank you very, very much. And last on our proclamation list this evening is for National Public Works Week. And I believe, Ingrid, you are coming forward as the Assistant Director, City Engineer. So, whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and services are of vital importance to sustainable communities and to the public health, safety, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Auburn. And whereas services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as transportation, water, sewers, and storm drainage. And whereas public works facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts and skills of the public works professionals, engineers, planners, managers, technicians, administrative and maintenance employees from the City of Auburn and the private sector who plan, design, build, permit, operate, and maintain the infrastructure and facilities essential to serve our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders of Auburn to gain knowledge of, maintain a progressive interest in, and understand the importance of public works and public works programs in their community. And whereas the American Public Works Association has celebrated the annual National Public Works Week since 1960, and now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Nancy Backus, Mayor of the City of Auburn, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st through the 27th, 2017 as National Public Works Week in the City of Auburn, and I call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life, dated this 15th day of May, 2017. And Ingrid, I am going to hand this to you, and I'm sure you must have a few words that you would like to share.
A few words, and if Sean will indulge me, if you can turn on the camera, the TVs. Normally I spout out a whole bunch of statistics to you guys, but what I would like to do this year is actually play a video about what Public Works is. This is a video that we actually created for the Civics Academy last year to help the public understand what we actually do in Public Works. So.
And we highly recommend the Citizens Academy, the Civics Academy, when it's offered again. It's a great,
Yes.
great opportunity to understand how our city works.
It was very great. So.
From constructing and maintaining roads, sidewalks, and bridges, operating traffic signals, providing safe drinking water, keeping roads from flooding, and disposing of sewage, our job is to maintain the highest level of service and programs that residents depend on daily. We are Auburn's Public Works, a branch of the Community Development and Public Works Department, or CDPW for short. Our team of professionals provides a vital role that enhances the mobility, safety, comfort, and prosperity of our community. Just imagine what our community might look like without Public Works. The Public Works portion of CDPW is large and diverse and is divided into two service areas. Engineering, which is located in the City Hall Annex at 1 East Main Street, and Maintenance and Operations, which is located at 1305 C Street Southwest. These two service areas have staff focused on transportation, potable water, sanitary sewer, storm drainage, street maintenance, general engineering services, the airport, fleets, and central stores. All staff work together to provide the highest level of service that people depend on daily. You probably see us out working on streets, replacing pipes, fixing traffic signals, and maintaining ponds. Our work is continuous, but when we are doing our job right, you never really notice too much because everything just seems to be working. That is Public Works. Now let's take a closer look at the various functions provided by Public Works. Transportation management in Auburn is vital for the thousands of residents and visitors who use our roads daily. Our transportation and street staff maintain approximately 245 miles of paved public roads, which is not an easy task. That's about the distance from downtown Auburn to Whistler, Canada. They are responsible for replacing streetlights, resurfacing roadways, fixing potholes and sidewalks, and repairing and installing street signage. To help citizens on the go, we maintain 19 bridges, 95 traffic signals, 4 flashing pedestrian crossing warning beacons, 50 school zone flashing warning beacons, 7 speed radar feedback signs, and over 11 miles of fiber optic communications network. The Traffic Control Center is the hub where data and video from traffic signals, cameras, and numerous other connected devices are processed and monitored in real time, allowing us to implement fine-tuned timing plans and changes for quick responses to traffic incidents, signal failures, or special event traffic. Under our streets are the sanitary sewer, storm drainage, and potable water systems that are installed, tested, and maintained by our Public Works staff. Our Maintenance and Operations facility is the main hub for our system control and data acquisition, or SCADA for short, which monitors and controls our critical utility facilities such as pumps, wells, and reservoirs throughout the city. The city's main water supply source comes from an underground aquifer that is beneath the city. These wells and springs, along with connections to other water purveyors like the City of Tacoma, provide clean and safe drinking water for our residents and businesses. Our engineers and scientists routinely monitor the quality of the water to ensure that it meets all state and federal standards. Although rainfall keeps our city green, when it runs off onto streets, it can carry organic waste, litter, chemicals, and other pollutants through our storm drainage pipes and ditches, into nearby wetlands, creeks, streams, and rivers, and eventually into Puget Sound. Once the stormwater pollution reaches our waterways, it can be harmful to plants and animals. The city began collecting stormwater utility fees in 1987 to help solve the problem of polluted waterways and improve the drainage capability of areas susceptible to flooding. With these fees, Public Works is able to plan, construct, operate, and maintain stormwater management systems through drainage improvement projects, routine maintenance activities, and quick response to spills to prevent the spread of contaminants and assist with the cleanup. While we don't live in a tropical or even subtropical environment, stagnant water bodies can be enticing for mosquitoes, and nobody wants that kind of nuisance around. That's why residents have been depending on Public Works Mosquito Control Service since 2003. With our effective methods, equipment, and insecticide, we stay on top of infestations through proactive monitoring of our ponds and address mosquito larvae when necessary before a large outbreak can occur. Our sewer utility collects the sewage from our homes and businesses and conveys it to King County to be treated at their South Treatment Plant in Renton. Preventing overflows from the sewer system is our highest priority to protect public health. Our customers can help us by not putting oil and grease down the drain, which hardens in the sewer system and can cause blockages. So-called flushable products like wipes and toilet cleaners can clog our pump stations, requiring expensive, time-consuming maintenance and possible sewage backups. Our engineers are also responsible for overseeing many construction projects throughout the city. One of these is the annual Local Streets Reconstruction Project. Roadway repairs and improvements reduce congestion and provide safe travel to all motorists, cyclists, and pedestrians. We also oversee the design and construction of sidewalks, bike lanes, utility improvements and replacements, airport improvements, and other infrastructure projects. The engineering group typically completes $25 to $30 million worth of infrastructure or capital projects each year. These range from small projects like sidewalk repair and pipe replacement to very large projects like the M Street Underpass, the new Community Center, and the 3rd Street Overpass. As you can see, we provide truly essential services and functions that enhance the quality of life of our residents. From controlling traffic patterns and managing our drinking water systems, to constructing and maintaining city roads, sidewalks, water, sewer, and stormwater drainage. We are Auburn Public Works, and we proudly deliver excellence every day for all who live, work, and play in Auburn, Washington.
So, as you can see, we have a group that is very, very busy ensuring the safety within our city on a daily basis. So, Ingrid, thank you on behalf of your entire team. We appreciate all that you do, and if you would please go forward and accept the appreciation of council. Thank you very much. She doesn't dance. All right. Do we have any agenda modifications this evening?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we will move on to audience participation. This is the place on the agenda where those in the public are invited to speak to the council on any issue. Those wishing to speak are reminded to sign in on the form provided. And tonight, since we have 3 pages of individuals who would like to speak, we are going to be very, very strict with our 3-minute time. And the clock will begin each time one of you comes up to speak. So I will start. I'm not sure which page was first, so if you were the first to sign up and your name is not called first, please don't be offended. I have 3 sheets here, and I'm just going to go in the order that I received them. First is Vicki Bates, and next would be Michelle Barker or Baker. And please make sure to give your name and address for the record. And again, keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
I'm Vicki Bates. I live at 5724 Olive Avenue Southeast here in Auburn. As a career educator, I began thinking about the ordinance to which I'm speaking tonight from the perspective of the children in Auburn, knowing that in our Washington state, 2 students in each of our classrooms have a parent at home who's undocumented. I'm also drawn to thinking about our undocumented students and young adults who've come to our country and only known this place, and who've contributed and flourished as students, as athletes, as musicians, and leaders in our schools. I also know, though, that in our state, 26% of our immigrants that are here are from the Asia and the Pacific Islands. They've initially come here on work visas and might live here in South Auburn and commute to Redmond every day for their work. In my home, though, we have a law enforcement perspective as well, as my husband has been a member of the Sheriff's Department for 28 years. So we know the data well that shows that despite the fear-mongering, immigrants do not make our communities less safe. We know that a strong relationship between local law enforcement and our immigrant communities is essential to public safety. And we know that the ordinances that are being considered here tonight fulfill the federal requirements of local law enforcement and stop short of federal overreach and do not require us to use our local resources irresponsibly. More importantly, though, as citizens, we recognize our immigrant neighbors as business owners, employees in our local businesses, taxpayers, churchgoers, contributing community members, and our friends, people who are striving to make this city a better place for themselves and their children. In our shared humanity, I believe we owe it to them to send the strongest message possible that counters a nationalist tenor that seeks to mischaracterize our immigrants and divide our populace. I want our friends and neighbors to know that they are worthy, that they're valued, and they don't need to be fearful. Building on the message of Reverend Agui that we heard just a few moments ago, I urge you to do what is right, what is moral, and what is just in passing Ordinance 6651 this evening.
Next is Michelle Baker. And for those of you in the audience, I just want you to know that we have to be finished tonight by 11 p.m. And so that's why we are being very restrictive with the 3-minute times. But every time that you applaud, which I understand that you want to applaud, but every time you do that, you are taking away precious time that might be available to those who wish to speak tonight, okay? Just want to make that clear to you, all right? All right, Michelle Barker and then Tom Noonan.
My name is Michelle Baker. I live at 5402 Olive Avenue Southeast in Auburn. I want to speak for the passing of Ordinance 6651. I work at Mount Baker Middle School, and I want to lend my voice to those families in my care who are scared of the current political climate, anxious that their families might change or even disappear while they are at school learning. It is an important time to be brave and stand up to a bully who tries to threaten little towns full of real people. Earlier tonight, you honored another frightening time for our community. You remembered the injustice of Executive Order 9066. Never again starts tonight. We need to support our communities. We need all of our families to feel safe. The governor supports sanctuary cities. Seattle supports itself as a sanctuary city. It is time for Auburn to support itself as a sanctuary city as well. I ask that you support and endorse and pass Ordinance 6651. Thank you.
Thank you. And also a reminder that we need to have the exit way cleared so that we can't have people standing in the doorway over there or in the hallway there. We need to have you come in so that the exit is cleared. Please do that so that we can continue with public comment.
My name is Tom Noonan. I live at 31225 112th Avenue Southeast in Auburn. I'm a true South King County native, born in the old military hospital in Renton, now hardware store. We lived in Kent until we moved to the Lee Hill area in 1969. So I grew up in Auburn, went to school and graduated high school here. In school and at home, I was taught that there are rules and laws that you have to follow so that as a society, we can all strive to achieve all the goals we have in life, free from any concerns about any chaos that would arise from not doing so. I followed these ideals, bought property from my parents, built my home. That was over 30 years ago. And though I never had any children of my own, I have paid property taxes to support the schools without complaint because I feel that is part of the generational contract to do so. And that is one of the rules you learn about. I like living here and have most of my 55 years. But it's getting harder to do so, working multiple jobs just to keep up with the rising cost of living in Auburn, with fees and taxes and costs of city services always going up. It frustrates me because I feel I'm bearing an inordinate amount of these costs with little benefit to myself, but seeming to always support increased social programs while neglecting our city's roads and other needs, which brings me to why I'm here. I think we should stay with Auburn being a welcoming city to all legal residents, not a sanctuary city which could cause the city to lose potential federal funds, which would then have to be made up. And how would they be made up? Seattle, in its infinite wisdom, wants an income tax in the city. Any revenue loss that would have to be replaced by increased taxes on Auburn citizens is something I just can't abide. Why should we as Auburn residents be priced out of our homes just to be PC and succumb to the demands of a very small but vocal minority of rule-breaking and unlawful people I say no to Auburn being a sanctuary city. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hey, no. We will not. We will not have any booing this evening, people. You have always been very, very generous, very kind, and very respectful, and I will continue to expect that out of everyone. Everyone's opinion is going to be heard, and I do not want to hear any booing, please. Next up is Sylvia Furstenberg, and then Jara Baker.
Can we get a list of 5 names, and can those 5 names then line up so that we can make more efficient use of our time?
So we have Sylvia. Is Sylvia still here? Sylvia left, I believe. It's Jara Baker, Guadalupe Macias Rivera, and Arandy Flores then will be the next.
Line up over there, and then one of
Good evening, Council. My name is Sarah Baker, and I have terrible handwriting, evidently. So, I'm here to speak to you tonight about your source of income discrimination ordinance.
And your address, please, for the record.
Oh, 1402 3rd Avenue, Seattle, Washington. Good evening.
Whoa, we can't have the lights coming down either. Okay. Please continue. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no problem. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Housing Development Consortium of Seattle-King County thanks you for recognizing that a safe, healthy, affordable home is vital to your communities. You did that by acknowledging Affordable Housing Week. Thank you. And we hope that you will do it again this evening by adopting SOID protections for the city. But we do have some comments that we'd like to give you. We appreciate you taking up this issue and coming together to create a local solution that addresses the needs of your community members. We also urge you to remove the exemption for landlords who own fewer than 4 units on the same property and add language requiring the inclusion of all sources of income in rental formulas. An exemption for properties with fewer than 4 units would exclude about 1/3 of your rental stock in Auburn, raising concerns about the efficacy of such an ordinance and the fairness for a large volume of stock for families that are low income and people with disabilities that need 1-story units. The exemption would also make Auburn's ordinance inconsistent with others in South King County, which makes it harder for tenants to know their rights and for landlords to do business knowing that they are compliant with the law. And finally, we'd ask that you include a requirement that rent-to-income formulas include all sources of income, because otherwise it can lead to sort of a de facto discrimination that landlords don't even necessarily know that they're not compliant with. What this means is that in some markets it's very common for landlords to require a certain amount of income towards rent, so usually like 2.5 or 3. And what some cities have done, including Vancouver, Washington, is that they have required that the value of a subsidy, such as a Section 8 voucher, be deducted from the total month's rent prior to the calculation, so the voucher could actually be used. So the public alone cannot meet all of the demand for affordable housing on its own. If Auburn is to be an equitable, diverse, and inclusive community, landlords must be a partner in providing low-income housing for families and individuals. Adopting SOID protections for all residents is an important step towards this goal, and these protections bring landlords to the table while still protecting their ability to screen applicants and ensure they are renting to good, dependable tenants. It's a reasonable compromise for all parties. Everyone deserves the opportunity to live in a safe, healthy, and affordable home. People using a public benefit are no exception, and we hope you will adopt these protections. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Guadalupe.
Good evening, Council. Everyone here present. My name is Guadalupe Macias Rivera. I live at 3731 H Street, Northeast Auburn. If you recall, 2 weeks ago I came forth before you and talked about community and the importance it is of maintaining those who are here and those who will call Auburn their home and their future, the importance of that. However, I went home and I thought about a point that we tend to not discuss. The students, the young folk here that are DACA applicants, dreamers, if that's a term you guys are more familiar with. These dreamers here are, again, the future of the city of Auburn. We're here, we're putting money into not only the city, but the state, education, the roads. And as the gentleman spoke earlier, that he wouldn't want taxes to come to Auburn and raise everything, but we are not complaining. We don't get, I'm being a dreamer myself, we don't get access to welfare. We don't get access to a lot of other things, FAFSA. Fortunately, we live in a state where we do get Washington State grant money to help us pay for education. However, most of the time we have to work very, very hard to pay for our tuition. We don't complain about all the money we invest into not only our country, our state, but our city. So just think about that. We invest way more than you'll probably invest during your time here. It's unfortunate, but we live in a city, and we live in a time that things are rising. The economy is just getting more and more expensive for everyone, not just U.S. citizens, not just permanent legal residents, but for everyone who lives in this country. It's getting expensive. It is hard to live, but going back to my point, the dreamers, we are here, we're investing in our communities. We're investing in everyone's education, everyone's roads, everyone's else's lives. We just ask the city of Auburn to please pass the ordinance 6651 tonight to support us. Not just say, hey, we're behind you, but have something solid, something with power behind it. So please pass ordinance 6651 tonight. Not only for me, but for my future child, for the community of Auburn. Thank you.
Randy Flores, and then after that will be Pastor German Camacho, Nadia Buccio, Antonio Flores, and Marcy Grouse? Mark Grouse? Okay, sorry.
Okay, so my name is Randy Flores. My address is 747 37th Street Southeast, Apartment A1, Auburn, Washington, 98002. I'm here as, again, a community member and also someone who is comes from an undocumented family. And I just want to say that there's so much more that I wish I could say in 3 minutes. And when we were referring to how you guys weren't listening to us, I'm sorry if one of you guys got offended, but it's true. Personally, I wish I could say so much more and if I had more time, but 3 minutes isn't necessarily enough, especially for someone who talks a lot. But, it's so easy to give up and, just put it to the side and everything. But then I just think about it. My mom and my dad didn't cross the desert for days, not knowing whether they were going to live or not, for me to just give up and, go back to a country which I've never even seen, never even been to. I think it's so easy to say that yes, ICE will come, okay? We understand that. I understand that. But it's the fact that there is so many little things that you would be helping us with passing this ordinance. I understand that. Why can't you understand that? How come you guys are politicians? I am a 16-year-old girl. I understood the difference between an ordinance and a resolution. A resolution is pretty words and it's great and it's such a beautiful intentions, but I need something that holds more power to it. Something that it's a change of the law. I understand that an ordinance is a change of the law. And maybe ICE will come, but at least I know I tried to stand up for what I believed in, and I tried to stand up for my community, and I tried something because it's better than just sitting there and doing nothing. if you guys already have a resolution in place, I understood that, and it's such a great thing you guys have an ordinance already in, a resolution already in place. But if it's already in place, then why has it taken so long? You've had multiple resolutions and even an ordinance from La Voz de Auburn already given to you. The work that you guys had to have done was given to you to make it easier. I'm just so upset that it's taken so long, and I just want to let you know that this is my home. It's been my home since the age of 3 years old, and it's going to continue being my home. So, thank you.
Buenas noches, Dios les bendiga a todos. Es un placer saludarles, conocerlos personalmente.
Good evening, God bless you all. It's an honor to meet you all in person.
Saludamos a cada miembro de nuestra comunidad.
We greet every member of our community.
Ya los personas que
your
hablaron
address
anterior.
for the record.
Necesitan la dirección.
1520 Pye Street, Northwest, Auburn, Washington.
Oh, and name, su nombre.
Germán Camacho. Ya los oradores antes de mí dijeron lo bueno que es nuestra comunidad,
The folks before us already said the good of our community,
los valores que tenemos como una comunidad hispana en especial.
the values of our community, our Hispanic community in particular.
Compartimos con todos ustedes, con todos nosotros, las alegrías,
We share with you all, with all of us, some of our joys,
los temores,
some of our fears,
los retos,
some of our challenges,
los sueños que tenemos como ciudadanos
some of the dreams that we have as citizens,
y parte de esta gran nación.
and of part of this great nation.
Yo quisiera poner en sus corazón un pensamiento más.
I would like to put in y'all's hearts one more thought.
Quiero que piensen en esto para cuando ustedes voten, lo tomen muy en cuenta.
I would like you all to think about this for when you all are going to vote, you really take this into account.
Y estas cosas son las que son la base de lo que nosotros somos.
And these are some of the things that are some of the base of who we are.
Nadie escoge el país donde nace.
Nobody chooses the country in which they are born.
Nadie escoge a sus padres.
Nobody chooses their parents.
El privilegio que ustedes tienen hoy como gobernantes,
The privilege that you have today as leaders,
dice la Biblia en Romanos capítulo 14,
it says in the Bible in Romans chapter 14,
que proviene de Dios.
that comes from God,
Y ese es un privilegio.
and that is a privilege.
Usen ese privilegio
Use that privilege
para formar comunidades seguras,
to formulate secure communities,
para darnos la oportunidad de vivir como hermanos y hermanas.
to give us the opportunity to live like sisters and brothers.
Venimos de otros países a refugiarnos a este lugar.
We come from other countries seeking refuge here.
Personalmente oramos por nuestros gobernantes.
Personally, we pray for some of our own leaders.
La iglesia que pastoreo tiene 15 años en Auburn.
The church which I am a pastor at has 15
Vivimos
years here in
en
Auburn.
Auburn.
We live here in Auburn.
Cargamos gasolina en Auburn.
We get gasoline
Cenamos
here
en
in
los
Auburn.
restaurantes en
We
Auburn.
eat dinner in Auburn.
Compramos carros en
We
Auburn.
buy cars in Auburn.
Nuestros signs los hacemos en Auburn.
Our signs, we make them here in Auburn.
Apoyamos a nuestros comerciantes locales,
We support our local merchants, our local business people, and
a nuestras comunidades.
to our communities.
Y les suplico en el nombre de Jesús
And we ask you in the name of Jesus
que cuando voten por la ordenanza 6651,
that when you vote for the ordinance 6651,
lo hagan pensando en todo eso que yo les comuniqué en esta
that you
noche.
do that thinking in all the thoughts that I just shared with you all.
Que ustedes, Dios los ha puesto
That you all, God has put you all in these positions
para unirnos a todos nosotros.
to unite all of us here.
Y juntos crear una gran nación.
And together is a
I
great
need you to
nation.
wrap it up, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadia?
Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Nadia Bucio y vivo en 747 37 Street.
My name is Nadia Buso.
En esta noche estoy aquí para pedirles su apoyo para la ordenanza.
This evening I'm here asking for your support in the ordinance.
A usted, señora Yolanda, me dirijo pidiéndole que apoye esta ordenanza, que puede usted quedar como una héroe entre su comunidad.
Councilmember Yolanda, we ask for your support in this ordinance so that you can become a hero amongst your community.
O también puede quedar mal.
Or you can come out not so good.
Y sí, pues tengo 4 hijos y pienso más que nada pienso que si yo estoy bien, ellos van a estar bien. Y
I have 4 children, and I know that if I am well, my children will be well.
gracias.
Thank you.
Antonio Flores, Mark Grouse, and then we will have Maria Cruz, Helmerson Cruz, and Esther Cruz. Please be ready.
Yasha. Xiwek piring sa wanda panuchi wanda kanimbo ingan. He arista minga en kisa pichito. Ano imboka nucha.
I need to have your name and address for the record, please.
Hearing sing Antonio Flores ka Himericas Kengariculi 747 37th Street, Yushu Arbuni. Ka ima Uchita tite cha isari chites ka chis komari pia ka sesi kurakulin. En Gashwanda chanchi ninguni. Solamente pedir permiso, buenas tardes a mis mayores para poder hablar en nuestra otra lengua que es inglés. So, good evening, good afternoon. So, it's so many things that being said, and in my memories it comes these work sessions and all these council meetings, and I will be always keeping in my mind this when you guys did this, like referring of to only 2 times when the supposedly ice came into Auburn. You say it, and for me it's peace and love, if I'm not wrong, you know. I want to mean it that, you know. So, but I want to tell you, in 2009, UPS immigration rate here in Auburn, 51 persons being arrested, most of them women. Many of them with little ones, babies, moms getting sick in the detention center, not being able to feed the kids crying out there. So that means 2, multiply it by 51. That many other times that things like that happened, and those are not recorded. Another memory comes the racetrack, the Emerald Down. They get so many workers from there, and you know what? Who did it? A security. Not even the police called the ICE, reporting them, because they say the rule of the law, like the gentleman said, but they don't know the definition of the law. A security calling ICE, reporting at people. In my mind came Pacific, people being enslaved in a house in there, and all these stories are in Seattle, PA, Seattle Times. That's the time when I tell you, let's have a seat, let's talk about it. I am not lying. I have all the documents that I can prove this. People being enslaved in Pacific. A little one get an accident crossing the border, breaking his leg. The person who was abusing to them using a saw, cutting the protection for him to get recovered. Basically telling them, you should not go to the hospital because they gotta call the ICE, they gotta call the police, because Pacific, by then, it was collaborating with ICE. So ICE have a memo about this story. So they give the protection under a visa name, Visa T. T
Mr.
as
Flores, we
Antonio.
need you to wrap it up. You're
So
past your
keep
3
that
minutes.
in mind. The ordinance 661, it's the right one. And also the ordinance what we submit, and the last part, you know, when we talk about this,
Mr. Flores, I need you to wrap it up, please. You're past your 3 minutes.
the creation of Commission of Immigrants Affairs of this city. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Mark Grouse?
Yes. Hello. Buenas tardes,
No.
señores.
Mark
Maria
Grouse?
Mark Giles is next.
Mark is next, and then Maria Cruz.
Sorry. My bad handwriting. Good evening, Mark Giles, 747 37th Street Southeast here in Auburn. You know, I just figured out it's almost been 30 years that I've lived here in Auburn. Grew up in Enumclaw, but lived here a while. Again, I come and I say thank you. And again, I come and say, I am so privileged to follow someone like Antonio and to speak up with all of our community members who are urging your affirmative action on an ordinance. 2 weeks ago, after we talked, I was privileged by Councilmember Holman to have a good conversation, and I appreciated that conversation, and I appreciated your sharing of your position paper, and I especially appreciated when you put your name on it. And we had that little conversation about it. And I really appreciated what you said to me when you said, well, of course I put my name on it. I stand behind what I say. That's what my name means. That's what you're being asked to do tonight. Resolutions are great, but an ordinance is putting your name on it. It might not change the world. Gosh darn, I wish we could, especially as crazy as the world's been the last week. I wish we could control ICE or whatever. But you can control what you do with your signature. And that's what that ordinance means in every voice that I'm hearing coming before you saying, please affirm this ordinance. Put your signature, put your name behind all the good work you've done that your police department here is working on and doing, and that so many pieces here are doing. Put your name on it. Stand behind it. Because we're living in a crazy time. Last week after I left your study session, I heard Texas ordered all of their cities to participate with ICE. I was in Pacific, that's where I do my ministry, when the police were actively participating with ICE, calling them, telling people that they pulled over, just go home and wait for a knock on your door. People say, that doesn't happen here. It happened. I saw it, I heard it. The fear, you've said, I wish they'd stop fear-mongering. As Antonio just shared with you, it's not fear-mongering. They're fearful times. Please, in this historic moment, sign your name. Stand behind all of your good work. Thank you.
Maria Cruz, and then Helmerson Cruz, Esther Cruz, and Charlena Razo Multeen.
Buenas tardes, señores concejales de la ciudad de Auburn.
Good evening, City Council members of the City of Auburn.
Mi nombre es María Cruz.
My name is Maria Cruz.
Y vivo en la 37th Street, Southeast Auburn.
And I live in...
Vivo aquí ya por varios años.
I lived here for quite a few years.
Mis niños van aquí a las escuelas, pertenecen desde el preescolar, elementary, middle school y high school.
My kids go here to these schools from preschool, elementary, middle school, and high school.
Yeah. En estos años nosotros hemos visto crecer esta ciudad.
In these years, we have seen the city grow.
Nos hemos sentido muy seguros.
We have felt really secure.
Pero hoy en día sabemos que ustedes tienen que tomar una votación.
But now this day, we know that you all need to vote.
La decisión que está en sus manos
The decision which is in your hands
puede afectar el sueño de muchos de nuestros hijos, de nuestras familias.
can affect many of the dreams of our children, of our families.
Hemos vivido aquí por años y hemos aportado para esta ciudad.
We have lived here for many years and we have supported the city.
Hemos visto cuando ustedes han ido a la candidatura.
We have seen you all when you have run as candidates.
Y nosotros vimos que ustedes eran personas buenas.
And we all saw that y'all were good people.
Hemos orado por ustedes para que Dios los dirija.
We have prayed for you all, for God to direct you, to guide
En
you.
nuestras oraciones como una iglesia cristiana siempre los llevamos en oración.
In our prayer as a Christian church, we always have you in our prayers.
Y en este día le hemos pedido a Dios que dirija sus mentes,
And in this
sus
day,
decisiones.
in this day, we have asked God to guide you, to guide your minds, your decisions.
Y que piensen que la familia es la base fundamental de un buen país, de una buena ciudad.
And to think about our families as a good base of our city, of a country.
Por favor, antes de tomar esa votación o esa decisión muy importante,
please, before voting, before making this very important decision,
recuerden la niñez que ustedes tuvieron cuando se crecieron al lado de sus padres y no fueron separados.
remember the childhood that you had when you grew up by your parents and you weren't separated.
La niñez de nuestros hijos está siendo diferente
The childhood of our kids is different.
y en este día esperamos que ustedes tomen la mejor decisión.
And in this day, we hope that you all make the best decision.
Sabemos que no es fácil para ustedes,
We know that it's not easy for you all,
pero sabemos que sí lo pueden hacer.
but we know that you can do it.
Señora Yolanda, usted nos representa ahí.
Señora Yolanda, you represent us here.
Usted es parte de nuestra comunidad.
You are also part of our community.
Por favor, represéntenos como lo que somos, como su verdadera comunidad.
Please represent us as we truly are, part
Estamos
of your community.
aquí, vivimos aquí
We are here, we live here.
y somos parte del logro que ustedes han tenido
And we are
también.
part of the successes that you all have had as well.
Muchas gracias, que Dios los
Thank you so
bendiga.
much. God bless you all.
Emerson Cruz.
We
And
had
then-
some changes with our leaders, but we have the folks that are going to be here speaking for Emerson and Esther. And it's just going to be a group since we're going to be translating. Is that okay? So we switched. Emerson and Esther are not going to be able to join us. And since we had, it's for the translation purposes.
So Emerson and Esther are not here?
They're here, but they're not going to share. We have two other folks that are feeling more comfortable to share.
We're replacing names with those people.
We're just switching the names.
It's okay? Okay. All right. Yeah, I need their names and address, since they're not written down here. Name and address very, very clearly.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Adriana Cruz, mi dirección es en la calle 29, en Auburn, Washington.
So Mariana Cruz, Street 29 in Auburn, Washington.
329 what?
320, ¿cuál es la dirección?
It needs to be the full address.
602 29th Street.
Honorables autoridades del Consulado de Auburn, vecinos, padres de familia, estudiantes, comunidad, Auburn, todos. Somos mujeres, hermanas, somos madres. Al igual que todos ustedes, estamos aquí para que nuestra voz y la voz de nuestros hijos sean escuchadas. Estamos aquí porque la unión hace la fuerza. Como madres de estudiantes desde Head Start en Pioneer hasta High School en Riverside y varias escuelas, vivimos para apoyar a favor de la votación de la ordenanza que traerá seguridad y tranquilidad a nuestra comunidad de Auburn. Nuestra misión es abogar, educar y luchar por nuestras familias y nuestra comunidad. Y por eso pedimos humildemente que hoy, día 15 de mayo de este año, ustedes como nuestras autoridades del consulado de la ciudad hagan lo mismo y aprueben la ordenanza declarando a esta ciudad una ciudad santuario. Gracias.
Gracias. Okay. So we are here to echo the voices of our colleagues from La Iglesia de Dios Pentecostal, La Voz de Auburn, Youth United Auburn, Juventud Unida Auburn, Washington CAN, Main Street Alliance. So we just want to echo that we're echoing what these folks have been doing for months now, and we're just echoing those asks. So I'm going to translate. Honorable authorities of the Auburn Consulate, neighbors, parents, students, community of Auburn, everybody. We are women, sisters, daughters, mothers, grandmothers of the city of Auburn. Like all of you, we are here so our voice and the voice of our children can be heard.
We are here because unity is strength. As mothers of students from Head Start at Pioneer,
I need a name and address before
Okay.
each person speaks, please.
my name is Sulma Kunz, and my address is 2802 D Place, Southeast.
Can you spell your name, please, so we have it for the record?
Zulma. My last name, Kunz, Koontz.
Thank you.
Okay, we are here because unity is strength. As mothers of students from Head Start at Pioneer to Riverside High School and several other schools, we come to support the ordinance vote that will bring security and tranquility to our Auburn community. Our mission is to advocate, educate, and fight for our families and our community, and therefore we humbly ask that today, May 15, 2017, you and our authorities of the Consulate of the City of Auburn do the same and approve the ordinance declaring the City of Auburn as sanctuary city, so that our families and the community of Auburn can live day to day with security, tranquility, dignity, and respect. Thank you.
Okay, we have Charlena Razo-Multin.
Good evening, council, my neighbors. That's how magnetic I am. Mayor Bacchus, just right before this, you said never again.
Is this, I don't think the microphone is working.
Never again.
It's not working.
I will speak up.
We'll
I
reset
will
the time,
use
don't
my
worry.
outdoor voice.
Oh, we need it for the recording. That's,
Okay,
that's
all
the
right.
problem, so. Already said that, thank you.
Jason, are you getting it? I was trying to the room volume down, but not on that mic.
Shall we try it again?
Apologize for the delay. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Nope, that's not on.
Oh. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Never again. That was such a touching and moving thing to be part of. That really was. And the only thing that I could think of is, City Council, please don't make it to where my daughter will be reading an email on my phone 2 weeks after I pass, telling me that my work, that our voices were finally acknowledged. We failed our Japanese families. We failed our Japanese neighbors. Don't fail one more immigrant family. Never again. It starts today. Don't repeat history. As Deepak Chopra would say, let us not be prisoners of our past, but let us be pioneers of the future. The future is now. This is Auburn now, today, right now. All these chiquillos running around, that's Auburn's future. All these little kids running around. They're watching, they're listening. They're watching you and they're listening to you. Do the right thing. Don't be bullied by our current administration. We teach this very value to our children in our Auburn schools. We have a zero tolerance for bullying. We teach them to stand up in the face of a bully and stand their ground, united in solidarity. I'm asking that you do the same. Don't cower to an administration that is full of empty promises. Do the work here, now, with who we are in front of you, not some looming bully presence with empty threats. Please, City Council, there is something very vile when I have to volunteer my English skills to my Latino mothers writing safety plans of when, not if, but when ICE is going to show up and separate them. There is something vile. I don't want to write one more safety plan. I don't want to sit at one more of these tables and write what's going to happen to their children, who's going to pick them up from school, what's going to happen to their possessions that they've worked for. That is not okay. I don't want to believe that that's the community that I live in. I don't want to believe that that's the society and the legacy that we're leaving our kids, all of our kids. Please do the right thing. Pass Ordinance 6651. I am begging you. We are begging you. We are here. We are going to be seen. We will be heard, and we will continue. Thank you.
Okay, I apologize if I get these names wrong. It looks like Wendy Pantu and Erasmo Werner, Diane Aid, and Nancy Hatfield. I think Nancy may have just signed in thinking she needed to sign in for being here. She's gone. Okay. Wendy. And then if Erasmo Werner, Diane Aid could be ready after that.
Hey everybody, my name is Wendy Pantoja, and 906 South Grant Avenue, Tacoma, Washington. I'm here trying to support our communities here. People a moment ago was saying not promote hostility and not promote resist. I'm working really often visiting people inside the detention center in Tacoma. So for me, I'm really shy. That detention center is still in Tacoma. I saw many people who are separated. I saw many people who have a family separation. I saw many people who was detained with arbitration, really arbitrary detentions for ICE. And I saw every day saw young people who is affected for that people who is detained inside the detention center. I know many people who is young people and kids who are trying to suicide for the family separation. So for me, this is not a good sign. I know many moms and fathers crying every day because the people is arrested. The majority of them, they are coming for work to here, to USA. We say also, I would like to respond, for us, the many Native people, for the real Native Americans, we know for us are not borders. We're brothers and sisters always. This is the real Native American. So we're honoring our ancestors, really. We would like to say for the people to be sufficient strong to fight against fascist and racist systems imposition. The immigrants pay taxes and contribute to the economy. So we're not taking jobs. The business want to pay less and exploit people. So we need to fight for that too. But we're here trying to work, and we're here to support. And I would like to ask to these honorable people to pass the Ordinance 6651 in support from this really harder works community. Thank you so much.
Erasmo Werner? Is Erasmo here? No? Okay.
Buenas noches todos. Consejo de la ciudad de Auburn.
Good evening to all City Council members.
Mi nombre es Erasmo Víctor Werner. Vivo en el número 1320 de la calle 32, aquí en Auburn.
My name is Heraldo Victor
Wermer,
and I live at... Una vez más la dirección, por favor.
es 1320 en
Three-
32 Street.
320 on 32nd Street.
Yo soy nacido en Cuba, soy de origen cubano
Okay. I was born in Cuba. I'm from the origin of Cuba. Origen.
y estoy aquí para pedirles que pasen la ordenanza 6651
And I am here to ask you all to pass Ordinance 6651.
por la cuestión es, yo fui arrestado hace 2 semanas
Because of things in question, I was arrested 2 weeks ago.
y creo que la gente trabajadora no tenemos que caer en eso. Yo fui arrestado por no ninguna razón.
And I believe us hardworking people should not be exposed to that. I wasn't arrested for any concrete reason.
Yo soy hombre de trabajo para una compañía de real estate
I'm a hardworking man. I work for a real estate company.
alrededor de Auburn, Federal Way y las ciudades de Clay alrededor de aquí de Auburn.
Around Auburn, Federal Way, cities here around Auburn.
No es nada personal con el departamento de policía, solamente es una moción, nada más para tener en el futuro confianza en nuestra protección.
It's nothing personal. This ordinance is nothing personal against the police department. It's solely to have some sort of protection in the future for our communities.
Soy víctima yo de la separación de familias porque la esposa que tenía
I am victim of the separation of families.
fue deportada y mi niña de 3 años en ese entonces se tuvo que ir con ella. Entonces yo por teléfono durante 3 años estaba hablando con mi hija todos los días.
My wife was deported, and my daughter at that time, who was 3 years old, also had to go with her. For 3 years, I would talk with my daughter every day over the phone.
Por favor, señora Yolanda,
Please.
en su mano está.
Please,
La
Señora
ordenanza.
Yolanda, in
Firme,
your
pues.
hands is the ordinance. Sorry. Please sign it.
Por favor.
Please.
Buenas noches.
Thank you. Good night.
Diane, and then Juan Jose Bocanegra, Vidal Rojos, and Manuel Montedioga.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Diane Aid, 123 L Street, North Houston, Auburn. And I come here from St. Matthew's Episcopal Church and also from Washington Community Action Network. This is community. I grew up in California, and I grew up in a country where I really believed all are welcome. There was that Statue of Liberty, that thing that sits in New York. I could use 20 minutes, but I won't. What I learned is some are welcome. U.S. immigration policy, if you want a history lesson in it, is absolutely racially biased. The Cooley Exclusion Act. Those are the names. It was not until the 1950s that we used politically correct terms for race in our immigration policy. We have many stories today of slave-like labor in the fields and at construction sites. I can go on and on, but they're happening all around us. Back to my education. I learned about the Underground Railroad. What a noble thing. Quakers and others on the road, helping slaves escape. Some of our favorite hymns, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. It was a code song about Telling slaves, tonight's the night the hay wagon's coming to take you to freedom. There were mass deportations of people of Mexican origin in 1930. I'll point you to the movie Mi Familia, or My Family. And then, as we talked about tonight, never again with Japanese American brothers and sisters in this community whose parents were interned. Members of my own congregation. It's part of our story. And then there was the civil rights movement. Think about the civil rights movement and how many of those people were arrested. They were breaking the law for noble reasons. Those are badges of courage. We're here from many groups. I see One America. I see WACAN. I see the La Iglesia Pentecostal. Hola, amigos. People from St. Matthew, San Mateo. From El Comité.
Diane, I'm going to need you to wrap it up.
Okay,
please.
I'm going to wrap it up. But we're all here. Change will come from the groundswell. We are being bribed by the federal government right now. Withholding money is bribery. We need the courage of a groundswell, so I pray that you consider ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Juan Jose.
Good afternoon. My name is Juan Jose Bocanegra, and I work with El Comité, and I'm the chair of the May 1st Action Coalition. We're the ones that bring to you every year the May 1st.
And your address, please, sir.
Yes. Sorry. My address is 5124 South Meade Street, Seattle, Washington. And so we're the ones that bring to you the May 1st march every year, not the violent one, but the peaceful one. The one that has the large numbers of people marching through the streets of Seattle year after year. And, that is just one small showing of the solidarity that people have in this great state of Washington. All of you, and I've had the pleasure of working with Nancy and some of the rest of the council people here on the healthcare issue. We did a great job, and thanks to all of you, we were able to hold the clinics here. And thanks to the organizers like Nadia Bucio and all the rest of the folks, we were able to keep that. And I think we have a great opportunity to also keep some peace in this area. I mean, we have a big challenge ahead of us. My grandparents were deported in the 1930s. My father grew up in Mexico thinking he was a Mexican citizen, and which is happening to a lot of families throughout the country and throughout this continent. And so, that kind of experience really traumatizes folks. I don't know if you ever, will never have had that experience, but if you do, you will understand why this kind of ordinance is so important, that we try to maintain the security of our people in every community, not just in Auburn, but throughout the state of Washington. And thanks to the King County leadership, we were able to set up an ordinance that basically creates Sanctuary City. It's not called Sanctuary City, but it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, So it is a duck. And I think that is very important for us to have that kind of ordinance, and the city of Auburn now has the opportunity to go hand in hand with that piece of legislation. And I think it's an opportunity that we should not let go, that it's an opportunity for everybody to form the kind of solidarity that have not had in the city. I used to work here in the city of Auburn. I used to run the YMCA program for post-foster youth kids. And so I know how some of the people in the city of Auburn kind of react and how they deal with some of the issues. But it's really important that we kind of expand ourselves. And I think we have a great opportunity for the city to grow, for every citizen in this city to grow, both socially and politically, and for us to understand the importance of having our brothers and sisters, regardless of our language barriers, regardless of our cultural barriers and our differences, that we come together as a people in this very critical times.
I'm going to need you to wrap it up.
Thank you very much, and please do sign that legislation.
Thank you. Idal?
Buenas noches a todos. 123 Elliot Street es mi dirección. Mi nombre es Vidal Rojas. Soy purépecha de Michoacán.
My name is Vidal Rojas. I am Purépecha from Michoacán.
And address?
123 L Street Northeast, Auburn 98002.
Esta vez yo no les quiero suplicar a todos. Les quiero decir que hagan su trabajo. Hemos estado aquí ya bastante tiempo, creo, mucho tiempo. Creo que ustedes dicen que no nos queremos ir a las 11 de aquí. Bueno, esto lo pudimos haber solucionado mucho antes, pero hemos estado dándole muchas vueltas.
Today we're not suggesting, we are asking that you pass this ordinance. You have stated that you would like to go home at 11 o'clock p.m. This issue could have been resolved a long time ago.
Estoy pidiendo que aprueben la ordenanza para que tengamos seguridad, para que podamos salir seguros a las calles, para que podamos seguir comprando casas, como lo han dicho ellos, para seguir comprando carros, para seguir consumiendo aquí en esta ciudad donde vivimos.
We would like you to pass the ordinance so that we can maintain a level of security to allow us to participate in the city by purchasing goods, purchasing houses, going out to eat.
Y les quiero aclarar también lo que tanto pregonan ustedes, que piensan que esta ciudad es una ciudad muy bonita, donde solamente ICE ha intervenido 2 veces. Tenemos pruebas como la voz de Auburn, podemos documentales. Si ustedes quieren un día sentarnos, nos sentamos a platicar y les enseñamos las pruebas, lo que estamos hablando.
You guys want to claim that you have an inclusive city and that ICE has only intervened here twice. We would invite you to come to the table and speak with us and spend some time with us so we can show you our proof that we have.
Un caso es de la señora Fabiola, que fue detenida en Emerald Drown el 2007.
One case is Ms. Fabiola that was detained at Emerald Downs in 2007.
Y que después de un proceso fue deportada a México y tristemente fue asesinada en nuestro país.
She was arrested, subsequently deported, went back to Mexico and was assassinated.
Pues para aclarar nada más, yo les pido no solamente a la señora Yolanda, les pido a todos que aprueben esta vez, que nos apoyen, que hagamos historia, ustedes con nosotros y nosotros con ustedes. Gracias.
I'd like to clarify, we're not asking just Councilmember Yolanda, but each and every one of you to pass the ordinance so that we can make history together.
Is it Manabel?
Maribel.
Maribel.
Close. 1225 South Weller Street, Seattle. Maribel Montes de Oca. Ok, les podría preguntar a las personas que han estado trabajando para pasar esta ordenancia si han hablado con sus escuelas, con sus iglesias, con sus comités, que levanten la mano, por favor. So if you have been actively working to promote and talk with your churches, your schools, your coalitions, your committees to promote Ordinance 6651, please raise your hand. City council members, I think if I ask you all if you have had packed houses like this, that's not an everyday occurrence. This is your community that has countlessly been asking you all to support them. Many folks have been coming to these coalitions with La Voz de Auburn, Youth United, Washington Can, pushing for this, pushing for their own safety, coming to places that they might might be not welcomed or even heard. Many of them had to bring their own translation, fearing that they wouldn't be heard by you all. So now raise your hands if you all have been talking to your communities and telling them
what the City Council does and how to support. Levanten la mano si ustedes han estado hablando con sus comunidades de qué hace el consulado y qué es lo que va a hacer. You all are voted in by these people, and these people are Auburn. They're your community. So, Señora Yolanda, this is not an ask just for you. It's for all of your colleagues to do what your community is asking to do and to provide security, because these are the folks that go to your churches, that eat at some of the places you do, that volunteer at your children's, at your grandchildren's schools, and they want to continue to do this and to be safe in giving the gifts of multiculturalism, of bilingualism, as we've heard here. And they are working every day to do this, and they're asking you all to do that today as well. And they are backed by community members that are doing this work, whether it's organizations like One America, Washington Can, or grassroots coalitions that come re-election time for this city and others will be stating where you all stood when it came to protecting your communities. So what I'm asking you to do is to not only protect your own positions, but protect the community that's asking you to support them today. Gracias.
Okay. Adriana Cruz, Manya Cruz, Megan Hyla, and George Poston. Those are the next 4 speakers. So if you could please come forward and be ready.
Did we have Adriana Cruz?
We had, no, we had Maria Helmerson and Esther were on the list. Do we have Adriana Cruz? Adriana?
They already went. Sorry.
Okay, and is it Maria?
También, also.
Okay. Megan Hyla? And then George?
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Bacchus and members of the council. My name is Megan Hyla. I'm here from the King County Housing Authority to talk with you about Ordinance 6652, so slight change of pace from what you've been hearing. But this ordinance prevents discrimination based on...
Sorry, I need your address as well, so
absolutely.
sorry.
It's 600 Andover Park West, Tukwila, Washington, 98188. Ordinance 6652 prevents discrimination based on the source of income. And we are very supportive of the amendments proposed by the Seattle-King County Housing Development Consortium, both that would expand the ordinance to apply to smaller landlords, as well as putting a definition on the type or the calculation of income when rents are determined. This ordinance would allow the 860 families living in Auburn who use housing choice vouchers to be able to know that they wouldn't be discriminated against. So that would provide them quite a bit of peace of mind, knowing that as long as they follow the terms in their lease, they can continue to live in their homes. So on behalf of the 175 seniors, the 360 people with disabilities, and almost 900 children who live in these families, we encourage you to support this ordinance. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And after George will be Rick Hood, Steve Mattioli, Victoria Pacho, and Noel Trujillo Garcia.
Hello, my name is George Poston. I live in Auburn at 12725 Southeast 312th Street, 98092. And I want you to know I'm here also to support the push for the ordinance 6651, but I do want to speak about ordinance number 6652. I have, since I retired last year, I've been volunteering at St. Matthew, San Mateo, helping the other volunteers there with a community meal. This is a free meal every week for members of the community that can't afford a meal. And one of the volunteers there is a guy named Joe. He is a military veteran, and he's been on wait lists for an apartment both here and in Seattle since September. He's experienced discrimination based on his source of income. He's got a Section 8 voucher, and he, like others, is like I said, is getting discriminated against. So I support and urge you to pass number 6652 to prevent this source of income discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Rick Hood.
Good evening, Mayor Backus, members of the City Council, friends and neighbors. My name is Rick Hood. My full name for the record is Frederick Redding Hood III. I've lived in Auburn for 33 years, so it's actually just slightly over half of my life now.
And your address, please.
Sorry. It is, excuse me, 5619 Elizabeth Loop, Southeast, 98092. I'm probably, I think, the least qualified person that will stand before you and speak to the ordinance tonight. I've been concerned and interested in immigration issues for years, but my focus has been pretty much exclusively until last March 11th on what was happening at the national level and mostly what was not happening there. On March 11th, I became involved with something called People Power and volunteered to set up a meeting with Police Chief Bob Lee and Assistant Chief Bill Pearson. And as I began to scramble to prepare for that meeting, really started an educational process that, well, I've learned a lot in that, and yet I'm sure that I will probably make a few misstatements tonight and possibly some things that will make people mad. And I hope that people that feel they've been wronged will speak to me about that and help me continue the process. I want to talk about 4 things, and with 3 minutes I really can't go into them, but the things on my mind are from the previous council meeting and what was spoken about then not being heard. I'd like to talk a little bit about why I think an ordinance matters. I'd like to talk some about values that we all share. And, well, I'm going to leave it at those 3, actually. We heard a lot of people 2 weeks ago say that they felt like they weren't being heard, and we also heard someone speak, I think, at the following study session, saying that they felt somewhat offended by that. From my point of view, and the involvement that I've had with this, I can understand that because it looks to me like there's a lot of people kind of talking past each other rather than really to each other. And I think there are a number of examples of that. One of the things is that I know that the ad hoc committee has had a lot of input. I've provided some of it. A number of other organizations that are represented here have provided a great deal.
Mr. Hood, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up. Your
Oh,
3
right,
minutes.
wow.
I know, it goes quickly, doesn't it?
It really does. Very briefly, the flow of information seems to me to be very one-way and not a lot of dialogue. A lot of stuff has been provided, and what's coming back to the community is, really without much explanation. An ordinance matters, very briefly, because...
Mr. Hood, I'm going to need you to wrap it up. I'm sorry, but...
I will. Because, all right. I'm here to support the ordinance, but I do not believe that the ordinance goes far enough. And this will not be the last that we need to talk about. Thank you.
Steve?
Good evening, Steve Mattioli, 30610 114th Place Southeast, Auburn, Washington. Auburn is home. Just like many families here in the audience, This is where our kids are growing up. It's where, our parents brought us into this world. And one thing that rings true across all families is safety. Being able to trust your neighbors and trust the people in charge, that they will take care of you and honor who you are, is very important. I'm excited to be part of a community that stands with its neighbors and values an environment where diversity is celebrated. I'm proud of where I'm from and look forward to where Auburn is actually going. As an Auburn member of Washington Can, I wanted to thank the mayor and the city council for the work that they've done. It has not been an easy issue, but you can tell it's very important for many of us. They've spent many hours listening and working towards a solution. I applaud their courage and the leadership in making Auburn a safer, more accepting community. We are looking forward to continuing this work and making Auburn a safer, more inclusive city for all. A vote for this ordinance strengthens Auburn's commitment and duty to all its residents. Thank you.
Victoria. Hello, it's good to see some of your familiar faces. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and still believing in a democracy and hearing people's voices, the voices that you're supposed to reflect and serve. My name is Victoria Pacho. I live at 31101 116th Avenue Southeast in Auburn, Washington. It wasn't very long ago, and we can still see remnants of our history from Auburn when back in the segregation days under Jim Crow, black people and brown people were not allowed to enter this city. So it does make absolute sense why there would be so much resistance for this ordinance in the sanctuary city to be passed, because there are still seeds of racism embedded in our very structures and our very institutions. Auburn has a choice right now, and those choices have faces. Their faces are Claude, Rich, John, Nancy, Largo, and the council members over here, Bill, Yolanda, and Robert. You have two choices. You can hide behind a title and die with a guilty conscience, or you can step up as leaders the way that people who voted for you bestowed their trust that they can count on you. You are the deer, the alpha. When something goes wrong in the city, everybody peeks their head and looks to you. Are we safe? Are we safe? That's what we're trying to establish here. Perhaps morality is not going to be the spoon that turns the butter to the other side. Perhaps that no longer speaks to consciousness who have been removed and now have reaped benefits and so much privilege that they have become detached in their ivory towers and they've forgotten what it's like to be a human being. But a sanctuary city makes economic sense. At the top of this hill, we have Green River Campus, and they are very interested in becoming a sanctuary campus. It is only a matter of time before we unite the fight and you have a huge, organized body of people with the power and the energy to put attention on your faces and your decisions. You can care about your stakeholders, the ones that kind of back you and give you money when you need it. You can care about the people who are the governor and that look upon you. But what I want you to remember is it's your name, it's your signature, and it's what you stand behind, and we will call it out. We will call it out so much so that we will organize and we will use the economic privileges that we have to make sure that our money goes and is funneled to those who support it. We will make sure that we become so organized that you will get so tired that it might be easier just to make the noise stop. But you have an opportunity, and I will wrap up here. You have an opportunity before it gets that messy, because we are that dedicated. You have an opportunity right now to lead the way. And history has showed that cities and colleges and institutions who have led the way in World War II, in Vietnam, and all those things, they're established cities. Why? Because now they're entrusted. Do you think you're still going to have international students coming to this college to put 25% of local dollars into our local economy that wouldn't otherwise be
Need
there
you to wrap up, please.
if their families don't think that they're going to be safe while they're here? I heard, I understand, I'm wrapping. Thank you.
Thank you. Noel? Is Noel Trujillo Garcia here? Is Noel here?
Yes, that's me. My address is
Oh, okay.
401 37th Street, SC, Unit 56. I want to thank you guys for giving me the...
Can you hold the microphone, please, Noel?
Okay, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak with all of
A
you.
little bit closer to you. I don't think it's picking up in the back.
Does it?
Doesn't seem to be
No?
on. Did it?
You can
Yeah.
take it out of the holder.
It might have been turned off when it went back in the holder.
All right. Can you guys hear? Yeah? Okay.
There we go.
So I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak with all of you. And I also want to thank you guys because since I was born, I've been able to be with my parents. They've seen me get out of diapers. They've seen me go into preschool. They saw me when I could not get on the bus because I did not want to let him go. And I don't ever want to let him go. And no kid should ever have to let go of their parent. They saw me graduate middle school, and I want them to see me graduate high school and whatever follows then. And why should we separate families? We should not do that. We should keep our communities close. We should keep everyone safe. Should keep everyone with no fear, as less fear as possible. And when something happens to one of us, it hurts all of us. If someone gets deported, it hurts all of us because we're all in fear. We all feel bad for whatever happens, and it just should not happen. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Hi, my name is this working good?
Yes.
All right. Hi, my name is Arthur Chancoso. I live in 6210 Nathan Avenue, Southeast, Auburn, Washington. I'm here to support Ordinance 6651, I believe. The number is...
if you could hold it just a little bit closer, Arthur. Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, and I'm here to support the ordinance because I believe it'll give some peace of mind to all of our community and whatnot. And I also wanted to... I was at the study session last week, and I heard Deputy Mayor Wales talking about putting some money behind our support for our immigrant community, and I wanted to also give support to that and say that we should continue and further do that. I also believe that the ordinance doesn't go far enough and that we will, as a community, we will push farther for a sanctuary city. I don't believe that we should be scared of the federal government being withdrawing funds and whatnot, and you know, I don't think any of us are either. So we'll keep pushing, and you guys represent us, and I know you guys will make the right choice. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the last three names that I have on the list are Tina Sanchez, Dan Peters, and Ariana Vallejo. Is Tina here? Okay.
Hi. Hola, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Tina Sánchez. Vivo en el 120322 NDSTNE en Auburn, Washington, desde hace 5 años y solamente...
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tina Sanchez, and I live at
1203 22nd Street, Northeast, Auburn, Washington.
I've lived in Auburn for 5 years.
Solo quiero agradecerles por llegar a este punto en su voto hoy en una ciudad santuario.
I want to thank you all today for to the point that you got here today to vote on a sanctuary city ordinance.
Esto es lo que significa para mi comunidad al pasar esta ley. Mi comunidad se va a sentir más segura de reportar las delincuencias en sus vecindarios.
This is what it means today if you pass Sanctuary City Ordinance. And it means that our communities won't live in fear in reporting crimes that happen in their neighborhoods.
Este es el primer paso para luchar por las igualdades para las personas de bajos recursos, de diferentes razas sociales y personas de diferente color, diferentes géneros sexuales de mi comunidad.
This is the first step that you can take for equality, both with for low-income communities, different races, different cultures, people of color, and people with different sexual orientations in our community.
Gracias por su voto hoy y esperamos seguir apoyando nuestros derechos. Dios los bendiga.
Thank you for your vote today, and I hope that you continue fighting for our rights. God bless you.
Thank you. Dan Peters.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm Daniel Peters, 3105 M Street Southeast, Auburn, Washington. I've been a resident of Auburn since 1955. I think we're setting ourselves up for real problems. It takes away federal funds that we all are aware of. It helped build the city hall. And I think what's going to happen is the feds are going to come in and do their job, and that's what they're doing. I put extra strain on public services, police, fire, hospitals, schools that we all passed a levy for now that's passed that raises our property taxes. They want the schools that I've gone to, pretty much all of them. And the thing is, what we're going to deal with is it's going to pass it on to the taxpayers. Well, we're the taxpayers. You're setting yourselves up for protests in our city also. The situation is, this is just a start. Look at Seattle. We've seen the picture. We've seen what's happened, what goes around. If Seattle is doing so good, then move to Seattle. That's what I say. Move to Seattle. But they're dealing with some major issues. And the thing is, it isn't getting any better in Seattle. I think you're setting yourselves up for the homeless camps more so too when you do this initiative. And I think it's going to cause more problems. There's going to be more people in our area, undocumented. And the thing is, we've got to have control. We have to have control in our city. If we don't, we're going to be in a world of hurt. And the feds are going to come in. You know that just as well as I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Control in all hands, not just white hands.
I'm sorry. Ariana Vallejo.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, council members. Good evening, Mayor. Today I'm here because...
I'm sorry, I need your name and address for the record.
Sure. Ariana Vallejo, and my address is 401 37th Street, Auburn, Washington, 98002. Today I'm here standing in front of you because I'm tired to see I'm tired to see my community afraid. I'm tired to see my family afraid. I'm tired to feel afraid. Some of you have heard my story. You hear my son spoke. You've been hearing all the stories from all of us, and I won't do this longer. But something is coming to my mind. Some of you asked me 1 week ago, how can we help the community to remove, to dare not feel afraid? I couldn't answer you that day. And today I wanted to ask you, all of you, how do I go to the community again? For example, the lady who was chased by a white man like 1 month ago, chased with a knife, screaming at her, go back to Mexico, trying to kill her. How do I go back to her and tell her, you know what? You have to be in the shadow again because our voice is not listening. How can we explain these people that I know that is suffering domestic violence and they're just afraid to talk to the police because they think they're going to be separated from their families? I'm asking you all. And today, I just ask the Creator to help you to think out of the box, to help you to think with your heart, to put yourself in my shoes, to put yourself in my community shoes. We are here. Some of us, we came here, we didn't choose to come here. I've been living in this country for more than half of my life. I didn't choose to come here, but I'm here because our countries are so bad that we just come here for a better opportunity. Come on, look at these people. Do we look like criminals? We work hard. I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. I have 2 jobs. I'm not asking for anything free. Nothing. I pay every single thing for myself. Taxes, everything. I don't want nothing free, but we want freedom. Thank you.
That concludes the list of those that had signed up. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Can we please stand in a show of solidarity and link
No,
arms
no.
for a minute?
So please, we are not finished with this yet. So from the audience, I need you to respect our process here, okay? Is there anyone else that would like to speak? All right, if you still want to speak, if you want to come and line up by the podium, and we will try and go until about 9:15. We can go a little longer if council members will choose to perhaps give up their council reports this evening. Yes? Either way, I think we're going to be giving up council reports this evening. But if you would just line up and please give your name and address for the record very, very clearly, because we do not have any of you listed on here. So we are going to need very clear pronunciation of names and addresses. So please come forward, give your name and address for the record, and a reminder that your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
My name is Ricardo Carranza. I live in Tacoma, 508 South Ainsworth Avenue. And the reason I'm here because I consider Auburn my second home as well. And I'm an active volunteer with the Para los Niños organization in Burien. I'm also a parent of 3. I'm here tonight on behalf of Latino parents and children for whom I work and I give my time to. I'm here to demand you council members pass this ordinance in order to make Auburn a sanctuary city. Latino and other minority families in our community, and especially our own children, are already living in tremendous fear due to the racial and political climate. Tremendous fear that even my 7-year-old boy has been poisoned with. This ordinance is the at least what we can do for now for our most vulnerable people in our community. Making this great city of Auburn a sanctuary city, we leave a legacy and a precedent to future generations to come. For Auburn to continue to be this multicultural, open, and diverse city, it will also send a good positive message out there, not just locally, but to the rest of the country. This city has always been filled with good, kind, and open-minded people, and it should continue to set up the example for other cities. No human, or especially children, should be pushed away or rejected simply for the pigmentation of their skin, immigration status, or racial differences. Let's all do what is right in our lifetime. We only have one. As fellow human beings, there's no human that is illegal on this planet. Nobody has the right to deny and reject their own reflection. do this not because it's only good, but because it is the right thing to do. It is a human right to demand what's ours. It's our duty. It's our responsibility to look out for those in need. Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights reads, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reasons and conscience and should act towards one another in the spirit of brotherhood. Lastly, I'd like to end this with my favorite Albert Einstein quote. It says, the world is not dangerous because of those who do harm, but because of those who look at it without doing anything. So you council members, you have an opportunity tonight to do what's right. Do something for our most marginalized and vulnerable people in the city, which is our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nona Linford.
Nona, can you hold the microphone
like that? My name is Nona Linford.
Now it seems to be off. Is there a...
I live at 3243 South, 366th Street, Auburn. My concern is I'm in favor of the ordinance because if you took 40% of the school and they had to move out or leave or go on subsidy programs because when their working parents been detained and put in detention or sent back home, then their kids are going to go into the welfare system. They're going to be put in houses where payments come from the city to support them because they haven't got their breadwinner anymore. Or they all move out of Auburn. 40% of your school is empty. And then you've got to figure where that's going to come from, what's going to happen, how many are you going to close. All the people paying taxes that are working so hard, their money's not going to come in anymore. It's going to devastate the city if all of them are come on and taken out and taken away from us. And they are family. They are our loved ones. So many of them I'm associated with have been brought here, not of their own fruition. They've been brought from their parents, and they are just here because they were brought by a parent, and now they're considered undocumented because they were young and didn't know what to do to keep in the system the way they were supposed to be. So please pass the ordinance. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Kira Zylstra. I live at 1415 North 97th Street in Seattle, Washington. I work for All Home, which is the continuum of care in Seattle and King County. We're a coalition of partners working to make homelessness in King County rare, brief, and one time. Affordable housing and access to housing is critical to that effort. So I really appreciate your work this evening in proclaiming this week Affordable Housing Week. It gives much needed attention to this very important issue. I'd also like to voice my support for Ordinance 6652, the source of income discrimination. This would create much needed protections for people who are low income and homeless and seeking housing that can meet their needs. This is a critical support that is available in some areas of our county, but even then we still see tremendous amounts of discrimination and unfair treatment to those that are most in need in our community. This would really be a needed benefit for all of members of our community. I would ask you to look closely at the exemptions that are currently in the language, knowing that our small properties under 4 units and small business owners, small property landlords are those that have been contributing so much to the issue of addressing homelessness and really meeting families where they're at. So I encourage you to take a look at that piece, but appreciate you bringing this issue to the forefront. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like? Okay. And Sean, could you make sure that the timer is going, please?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Perla Villanueva. I live in 6600 Seattle, Washington, 98118. And I'm going to ask him to help me because I don't want to, that anything that I say don't go, that it doesn't get lost. So I'm going to make 3 comments. El primero es de que el problema de los homeless en Seattle no es por la gente inmigrante, porque no ven a un solo inmigrante, a un solo hispano en situación de calle y menos pidiendo dinero en las esquinas. Entonces, esa no es una excusa para que esta ordenanza no pase.
So, first point, the homelessness problem in Seattle is not a Latino Hispanic issue because you don't see Latinos or Hispanics in that situation. They're usually working to try to get what they need to survive.
El segundo punto que quiero tocar es que, como ya dijeron antes, todos los inmigrantes estamos aquí gastando dinero, nada es gratis. No es como que vamos a ir a pedir comida y nos van a decir, sí, claro que sí, aquí está y llévatela. Todo lo que nosotros tenemos es porque lo hemos trabajado, absolutamente todo. Ahora, todos nosotros sabemos, y ustedes muy bien lo saben, en este país todo mundo paga impuestos. Nadie se va gratis. Todo mundo paga impuestos. Mas sin en cambio, la gente inmigrante, la gente sin papeles, no está obteniendo beneficios médicos, no está obteniendo sus beneficios cuando envejecen. Muchísima gente viene, trabaja 3 años, 5 años, dejan su dinero, dejan sus impuestos y no ven nada de eso de regreso.
That was a little long one, so. To start off, nothing is free. Like others have mentioned tonight, we work for what we have. We have to really, really work for it, for every meal of the day. And also we pay taxes on all of the work that in the income that we get, and we don't receive the same benefits as everybody else does who's part of the system.
And the last one, and the one that really enraged me, I'm sorry, el que de verdad me enoja, me enfurece, es que este gobierno no está tomando responsabilidad en lo que está haciendo a nuestro país, al menos en México y en Centroamérica. No está tomando responsabilidad por la iniciativa Mérida, que está asesinando gente en México, por todas las compañías que están mandando a México a esclavizar a la gente sin derechos, sin buenos sueldos, y con eso nos está empujando, con el Tratado de Libre Comercio, NAFTA, ¿qué se llama? Con el NAFTA nos está empujando desde hace muchos años a venir para acá. Por tantita vergüenza deberían de pasar esta ordenanza, por tantita vergüenza y respeto a los derechos humanos.
She really wants to get the point across that this government has violated a lot of human rights across all of Latin America with a lot of the free trade agreements, and we need to take responsibility for that, and we need to help mend that problem. And we need to really take action and not just say we are. Intentions don't do anything.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to.
We're done. I'm sorry. We have to adhere to the time limits here. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Megan Murphy. I live at 1111 East Madison Street in Seattle, Washington. I hope that doesn't interfere with anything that I'm a resident of Seattle, because I heard that you may prefer Auburn residents. However, I just, as a parishioner at St. James Cathedral, we have a series called A Place at the Table, and it's where we talk about immigration justice. And we have such excellent technology now, and I think it's 25 years ahead of politics, because my vision, and I think we all seem to collectively be moving, that people are insured a house and a job and a good education, and it doesn't have to be anything like lavish just safety. And in these countries, there's not safety, so people had to relocate. And if I go to confession, I would say, oh, well, I testified at an Auburn City Council meeting and I'm really from Seattle. Or I probably wouldn't feel so bad. Yeah, if I said, I saw people being arrested that were just seeking safety and they were held in a detention center and they went on strike and I stood up for this. I don't think I have to go and say that, in confession, because if I didn't, I would probably feel really guilty. So I think that people need to collectively feel more guilt. I think it's a good, healthy guilt to let this happen, because these are good people working hard, going to school, studying hard. They're future poets, artists, lawyers, good people. And I think this ordinance is awesome, and I think it's really awesome you brought this to the table, and I think you're doing a great job, because I have a feeling I know which way it's going to go. So thank you.
Thank you. And just so you know, I will cut off public comment at 9:30 because we do have the business of the city that needs to be done tonight. So for those of you that may be wanting to speak, we have about 14 minutes left total. So
yeah, I'll make it quick. So my name is Claudia Flores. I live on 747 37th Street, Southeast, Auburn, Washington, 98002. So I wasn't going to speak because I don't like to speak in front of everybody. I might be a talkative person and one-on-one, but in front of people I get really nervous. But I've been telling my students that the students I work with and the students I work with here in Auburn, which is in Burien and Auburn, it's quite a group, I always tell them that their voice is important. So I thought that I should come and show the example, how can I preach this and not do it myself? So the gentleman earlier had said that, you should listen to the taxpayers. Well, I am a taxpayer, and I am undocumented, and I am a DACA recipient. I can't even say that word, sorry. But yeah, every paycheck, I get at least like a good amount. Like I should have made $700 this week. Instead, I'm getting $600, all due to taxes. None of those taxes will I see when I retire because I am undocumented, and my work visa or work permit is only used for work use only, not for social benefits, social security. All my money, the people that are seeing it are those who are the senior citizens at this time, right? So it's just, I think I should probably clarify that. Same with my dad, he has never gone to the Auburn hospital. He has never done all this, but he still pays his taxes every year with his IT number. They don't want us here, but they want our money. So just to let you guys know that. And then maybe Señora Yolanda, you felt like you were pointed out earlier by my mom, but it's because last week we had heard you and said you were in favor of a resolution instead of an ordinance, and we want to let you know that we were hoping that today that you'll vote for an ordinance instead of a resolution. It'd be really fair, and I just wanted you guys to know that even the undocumented people that are here today do pay their taxes every year with their IT number, not just the Social Security number. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diego Izquierdo. My address is 4040 Auburn Way South, and most all of you, I think, know me by now. I am a Auburn Junior City Council member, and my duty has been to advise you on behalf of the youth of the city of Auburn. I did not think I was going to speak until just a few minutes ago, but I'm here standing representing Auburn High, the school that I attend. I am in favor of this ordinance. I have seen the division that and the climate that has been present in our school, not just at Auburn High, but across the district. I can feel and I can see the fear and the division, not just among students, but among staff and parents. And seeing that from my perspective, and for me personally, it has always been about kids. I am a kid. I am below 18 years, but I still care. And for me, children mean the world to me. And I don't see this ordinance as a political statement. I see it as a sign of love, compassion, and care. I see it as a way to bring people together, to keep children with their parents and their families, to ensure that they are safe, to ensure that they feel protected, not just among their community, but feel protected by you. I just hope that you guys vote in favor of this ordinance and this resolution. But I hope I am going to be more vocal about this issue, and I know that you all do your job to the best of your abilities and take many things into consideration. But I really do hope you guys pass these ordinance and this resolution. Thank you.
I heard those sighs. Ok, buenas noches todos. Pueden estirar para mí un poquito porque ya es una...
Name and address for the record, and you are
Brian
addressing...
Rivera, mi dirección es 123 C Street, noroeste.
Brian, you are addressing the city council, not the audience.
Either way. So, pueden estirar. Ya es una larga noche. Me da tanta alegría ver toda la pasión que está aquí y traducir de último momento. Eso fue algo suave y muy especial. Y pues, nada más quiero saber para que le digan al concilio, ¿ustedes piensan que ya los han convencido? No? So I just asked them if they feel like they've convinced you guys yet. I said it in Spanish. I'm sorry.
Brian, you need to give your name and address for the record so that it can be put as part of the record, or you won't be allowed to continue speaking.
Brian Rivera, 123 C Street, Northwest, right over the railroad tracks, across the street. So, again, the question that I asked the public was if they feel like they've convinced you guys already. Their answer was no. Are they right? Are they wrong? Who knows? That's your guys' decision, but it's a big responsibility. There is so many spaces that were covered today about this issue that I cannot imagine what else you guys might need to make a decision on this. It's ridiculous. Everybody here has come because this is to them their last shot. Because you guys are the gatekeepers. You guys get to hold the key on history. Pastor Mark earlier said, you know, it'd be really cool if we could change the world, but we can change the world. We can do that today. Because to change the world, you need to be the change that you want to see. And all it takes is doing it, not just thinking it. That is a legacy that will be remembered for as long as there is written history about Auburn. And this historic moment right now where we truly joined communities, comunidades enteras. Es tiempo para que ustedes tomen responsabilidad y hagan una buena decisión para por fin unir dos comunidades. And that's only the beginning of a bridge. And we can build bridges all across Auburn, and we don't have any of these mixed feelings that we have in here. It would be amazing if we could come in here
Okay, Brian, I'm going to
and
need you
all
to,
just
to
talk.
wrap it up.
You said 9:30. There's 6 minutes left.
Brian, you
Either
have
way.
3 minutes just as
So-
everyone else does. You need to wrap it up, please.
¿Se puede o no? ¿Sí se puede o no se puede? ¿Están cansados? ¿Están dormidos? ¿Así quieren que voten?
Brian, your time is done. Thank you.
My name is Anna Lynn, 123 L Street Northeast. I'm a member of St. Matthew San Mateo Episcopal Church here in Auburn. I just want to say thank you so much for your time on this issue. There's been numerous meetings, late nights, a lot of phone calls, emails from the community, and really we appreciate you putting your heart into this. It's an important issue for the city, and just a lot of respect for the decision you have to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? This is the final opportunity. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Going once, going twice. All right, thank you. We will close audience participation. And we will move on to Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. The Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendations to the City Council, if any. And first we will go to Claims and Payroll Vouchers Finance. Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, as members of the Council Ad Hoc Committee, Finance Committee, Councilmember Wagner and myself reviewed the payroll vouchers and electronic deposits for approximately $2.1 million and claims vouchers and wire transfers for approximately $6.6 million for the periods April 27th to May 10th and May 15th, respectively. All questions by the committee were answered to the committee's satisfaction by the Finance Directorate, and the committee recommends council approval of these expenses.
Thank you. Next is the annual selection of deputy mayor, and that would be Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Your Honor. The committee, Councilmember Pelosi, Councilmember Troutman, and myself met this afternoon, and we have concluded our work and our study on this issue, and we'll be making a presentation at next Monday's study session.
Great. Thank you. And Inclusive City, Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you. I want to welcome all of you that are here today, and thank you for your phone calls and your emails. And as I have been saying, we are listening. I'm listening. I've taken everything in heart. I've answered some of your emails and some of your calls. But we're bringing the ordinance and the resolution tonight to be voted on. And yes, some of you have said that I said I wanted a resolution. And the reason why we said we wanted a resolution was due to we already had one until we started looking into everything that we got. So that will be coming to our council later on.
Thank you. The $20 tab fee, full spectrum of issues regarding the $20 tab fee. Deputy Mayor Largo Wales.
Yes, we met this evening at 6 o'clock, and we'll have another meeting in 2 weeks. We looked at the REIT 1 and 2 funds and had some other ideas, and our Director of Finance is going to make a report on some reserve funds. So we're continuing with our quest, and again, we'll be meeting in 2 weeks at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that concludes all of our ad hoc committees. There haven't been any others created that I'm not aware of, right? All right. It will when it comes, yeah. We are moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Troutman.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wells.
This evening on the consent agenda, we have the minutes from the May 1st City Council meeting. We have the claims vouchers and payroll vouchers that City Council Member Wagner and City Council Member Baggett reviewed and recommended that we approve. We have Public Works Project MS1510, which is the demolition of a building on some property that we own that is kind of an attractive nuisance at this point. We have to award a contract under Public Works number CP1107, and this we've discussed many times regarding our Fulmer Well Field Improvements Project, which is very vital to our water service. We have Public Works Project CP1511, which has to do with the improvements on M Street that we discussed that are from 3rd Street to Main Street to finish off that corridor. And we also have Public Works Project CP1523, which has to do with awarding a contract for the Lake Taps Parkway Preservation Project.
That's an easy one to say, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's an alliteration. Yeah. All right. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes unanimously. So we are going to move to unfinished business. That is where the Safer Cities, Inclusive Cities ordinance and resolution lie right now. And we are going to have our city attorney, Dan Hyde, and police chief Bob Lee provide some information prior to this. As a reminder, resolution number 5284, that motion was made at our last council meeting, and it was seconded, and then it was tabled. So there will be a live motion on the table for resolution 5284. Mr. City Attorney and Chief Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Resolution 5284 and Ordinance 6651 were intended to address the City of Auburn inclusive and diverse community. The question has been surfaced a lot, not only in comments here, but in earlier discussions between the city council members as to whether to support the ordinance or the resolution, in questions regarding the enforcement, questions in terms of which is more important or which has a stronger statement. And I would respectfully submit that the question that the council may want to look at is, or it should be, the question should be whether what is intended. What is it that the City Council wishes to accomplish? Resolution 5284 and Ordinance 6651 both have been amended a number of times. The City Council in its discussion and the ad hoc committee have developed a lot of different issues and considerations regarding that, and both of them have been changed in a number of different iterations. Staff sought to change the ordinances where we received suggestions as to what the City Council wanted to see, and actually the end result was that both of them ended up getting longer, but they're actually now more similar than they ever were previously, although the fundamental concepts that were included in the resolution and the ordinance really are very similar. What is the intention? The intention, and both of them include the same intention, that they want to include and impose a restriction on city employees from asking about immigration, race, religion, and language. And that's the purpose for both of them, even though they both do so in a way that acknowledges and recognizes the inclusiveness and diverse community. And I know that that's what they both say because I drafted both of them and did so with that intended purpose. The question that perhaps some people have a feeling about is that the ordinance does something different than the resolution, and that is probably true. But looking at what they are intended to accomplish, we don't have any other place in the city of Auburn or any of our city codes that imposes a city code regulation that only applies to city employees. And this would be, and I know that it was one of the questions that City Council said, can we make it into an ordinance? Well, yes, we can, but I wanted to make sure that we understand that difference. The legal effect of both of them is to restrict City of Auburn employees asking about immigration, race, religion, and language. The way that you accomplish that could be through an ordinance, but then you'd end up with a duplication of effect. The code section that an ordinance provides is enforceable through court. I would submit that it doesn't make the best of sense to set up a criteria whereby city employees might be brought into court because they did something that the policy says they shouldn't do. The resolution, which seeks to accomplish the same thing, also says city employees shall not ask about immigration, race, religion, and language. But even though there are some exceptions, obviously when the clerk's office process permits, they need to ask the statutorily required question of where were you born. Other than that, the issue should be an employment policy which would be faster to enforce, and it wouldn't create the unusual situation where an employee situation would be adjudicated by a judge who might receive an infraction filed with the court, which is the only way you can enforce city codes. I suggest this because you could end up with both of them, but you might end up with duplication. But because the purpose of both of them is to put into place city employment regulations that prohibit the requesting of certain information, it really fits with the resolution. People might think it's less of a statement. It isn't. It's the most specific way to address that which is intended to be sought. And based upon that, I would, if I were asked, I would recommend the resolution is the appropriate tool to put into place the employment policy, even though an ordinance, if it were to apply to the rest of the world, the community, the people in the audience, an ordinance might make better sense, but it doesn't in this, under these circumstances. I think the chief also has some comments.
Can I try and put that in layman's terms before we go any further? Okay, so if I understand what you said, a resolution in this case is providing policy, city employee policy, as to their actions or lack of actions. And it would be dealt with the way any other HR policy would be dealt with. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
All right, and an ordinance would create a requirement that employee policy could be tried or adjudicated in court because it is a law as opposed to an employee policy.
And even more than that, we actually have a provision in our city code that says a violation of the code is either a crime or an infraction. It would be something that would have to go to the court, and the judge would be deciding it rather than the supervisor.
Okay, so that puts legal onus on to, well, it's an HR policy typically or an employee policy, but if it's an ordinance, it becomes more of a legal action.
Enforcement would.
Enforcement would be a legal action as opposed to an HR action. Okay, is that council layman's terms? Does that cover that? All right, Chief Lee, did you have some comments you wanted to make?
Well, I would concur with all of that and not add much, other than the fact that for the audience, you know, as far as running the police department, there's been more people actually that get dismissed for violating policy rather than a criminal offense. And this is the process on the resolution side. You know, we call it progressive discipline. If somebody's doing something wrong, they get coaching and counseling like any employer would want to make sure maybe we missed something. But if it continues, it's a blatant disregard for policy, city policy, department policy, then the discipline can move up to loss of time or to include termination. So that's the resolution portion of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I am going to assume that there is going to be a great deal of discussion. We do have motion or resolution 5284 on the floor right now. Councilmember Holman.
Two-part question. First, for our legal counsel, and you are the city's attorney, and you are this body's attorney and counsel. Which do you recommend?
Because we are dealing with what we want to accomplish in terms of a personnel policy, I would recommend the ordinance.
The resolution.
The resolution, I'm sorry. I would recommend the ordinance not be adopted, that the resolution be adopted.
Thank you. And Chief Lee, when you write the policies and procedures of your department along with your staff, do you consider the resolutions as well as the ordinances of the city in writing those policies?
Yes, we do. But our ordinance that has been shared with council is a lexipol policy that is provided in best practices, constitutionally sound, and that's where we get our policy. But again, whatever's adopted today, we will definitely take a look at it to make sure we're on track.
So I'm making, do I make myself really clear? If we adopt a resolution, you will look at that resolution alongside your policies to make sure that they are consistent.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
And one thing, before we go any further, and then Councilmember Wagner, several of the council members asked me tonight during the public comment period, many of you use the term sanctuary city. That terminology and what that in some people's minds encompasses is not what's in this resolution or ordinance. It is not that the police or employees are prohibited from obeying the laws of this country. It is not that they will not work with immigration if immigration comes in and asks. Is that correct, Chief Lee?
That's correct, that we do not enforce immigration law.
Right. We do not enforce immigration law, but at the same time, officers and other employees of this city, based on both the ordinance and the resolution that are in place, are not putting into effect, as it is currently written, sanctuary city status. For those of you that may have an idea that sanctuary means that employees would never work with immigration. If there are reasons to do so, that would occur. That is not being prohibited in either the resolution or the ordinance as it is currently written. Okay. Councilmember Wagner.
In the study session, I spoke in favor of an ordinance because I thought the resolution did not have enough meat to it. Well, since then, the city attorney, as he said, has made them very similar in terms of the meat that's in them. And he's pointed out to us the difficulty of day-to-day operations with the ordinance where you might end up in court as opposed to a resolution where you can deal with the offending employee immediately. So I'm persuaded now that the resolution is a more practical way to have things start happening and happening in the right way. So just correcting my position from the study session.
Thank you. Councilmember Pelosa, and your 5-page of questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going through a whole bunch of papers, Dan, and guess what I found? Training by the local attorney, our attorney. And so I'm going to read some excerpts from your training to us, which I was trying to grapple with resolution versus ordinance. A resolution in effect encompasses all actions of the municipal body other than ordinances. A resolution deals with matters of a special or temporary character. An ordinance describes some pertinent rule of conduct or government to continue in force until the ordinance is repealed. An ordinance is distinctively a legislative act. A resolution is simply an expression of opinion or mind or policy concerning an item of business. Thus, for a temporary purpose may be in the form of a resolution, and legislative matters must be in the form of ordinances. Acting through an ordinance rather than through a resolution does not necessarily constitute municipal legislation. Conversely, where a resolution is in substance and effect, an ordinance or permanent regulation, the name given to it is immaterial. If it is passed with all the formalities of an ordinance, it thereby becomes a legislative act, and therefore it is not important whether it is called an ordinance or resolution. And this is text from a municipal training class given by Auburn City Attorney Dan Hyde. The council decisions tonight are that we continue our inclusive community, refreshed language that was adopted in 2008 via a National League of Cities format. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone else? All right, right now we have resolution number 5284 on the floor for a vote. All those in, Dan, do you want to reread the resolution?
Thank you, Your Honor. Resolution number 5284, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, affirming the value of all Auburn residents.
Thank you. All right. So, all those in favor of resolution number 5284, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
Okay, let's,
Call for a
just to
vote.
be clear on this one, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That's Councilmember Baggett, Holman, Wagner, and DeCoursey. All those opposed say no. That's Deputy Mayor Wales, Councilmember Trout-Manuel, and Councilmember Pelosa. The resolution passes 4-3. Do we need to go to ordinance at all?
Well, that'd be the next item of business. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know what you
So
mean.
let's see if that one gets a motion in a second. Is there a motion?
Oh, no,
for-
I'm sorry. You mean, do we have to go to the next ordinance, 6643, or you're talking about
6651
6651?
because it's under unfinished business.
Okay, they were set up as alternatives, so I don't know that you'd need to go to, it would not make sense to adopt both. Is that what the question was?
That was the question.
Correct. It would not make sense to adopt both.
Okay. Councilmember Trout-Manuel, since I did think that the ordinance would be on the table, please go ahead and make your comments.
Dan, I think I misunderstood when we met the last time and we went over the ordinance and everything, and we talked to Chief Lee, and I thought that the ordinance had more of a meat, because I was going for the resolution at the beginning. But then when we talked about the ordinance and how we were going to put more stuff into it, that's why I changed my mind, because talking to Chief Lee and also to our Assistant Chief Bill Pearson, they were okay with the ordinance. And after we went over it and everything, then that's why I changed my mind to go for an ordinance, because it covered everything that we wanted to cover.
I'm sorry, was that a question to me?
Well, yeah, because I am asking you that when we spoke in our meeting with the 3 ad hoc committees, you said the other thing. You said the ordinance would be something that would be better than the resolution.
No, I'm.
Yeah, I think so. Until Councilmember Wagner asked for us to go back and look into it. And I said that I would be for the ordinance if it did not tie up our police department's hands. And that was some of the things that the people out there were asking us, is to not to use the fundings that we receive from federal to allow our police department to be able to do their job.
Well, let me clarify one point. I don't think I've ever stated that under this circumstance where we're only going to be regulating city employee conduct, that the ordinance would have been preferable. The resolution was the original document that was prepared. We were asked to put together, can you put it in an ordinance? And I said, well, yes, you can, but it does have some inconsistencies. But I have to assert that they have all changed. Both documents have changed a lot. And the end result was that we actually made the resolution probably just as strong in terms of the statement that as the ordinance would have been, but we also made sure that the resolution gave the direction to the mayor to put together personnel policies, which was which was what we were intending to accomplish. If this were a regulation that would apply like criminal codes do, theft and driving violations, et cetera, then the ordinance would make better sense. But because it is only focused on city employees, and a personnel policy would be the appropriate and most expedient way to address it, that was from the very beginning my recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and so we aren't going to get into, because we don't have any motion or anything on the floor, but no, just a moment, Deputy Mayor, and I will give you the floor. Just so we understand, the resolution was passed. The wording in that resolution is very similar to the ordinance. The only thing that the resolution does not do that the ordinance would do is that it does not create a requirement for legal action simply based on the fact that it was an ordinance versus a resolution. Is that correct, Dan?
Yes, that would be a good description of it.
Okay, thank you. So, just to be clear, I believe, my opinion, the council up here tonight respected the desired outcome for everyone who has been speaking. The difference between an ordinance and a resolution in this case is very, very minor. The council, I want to applaud council for working very, very hard and taking a great deal into consideration before this vote tonight. It has came back to council. You're all aware because you've been here and you've spoken to the council and to myself on many occasions. So I hope that you understand that your council members took a great deal of time, consideration, and thought into this process. And it will work going forward. Again, I don't want to get into a big discussion here tonight, but Deputy Mayor, I will give you a moment to speak.
I think that the next step is one that Claude proposed at our study session. Whether we have an ordinance or a resolution, we need to look at the next step. And that's how we can help people get to where they need to be with immigration status. And I've talked to Yolanda about that, and I've talked to Claude about that. So as the system of whether we have an ordinance or a resolution moves forward, and I think that you out there, you know, have your motivations and your ideas, we are going to continue to work behind the scenes to get some services and assistance to those people who have immigration issues. So it may not be where I wanted it to be, but you need to know the whole council is really united in the issue of getting help for the people that we love in our community.
And there already are human services dollars going to organizations that work on just these issues. So it's not a matter of our city is not doing anything. Some of those human services dollars are going to organizations.
Point of order, Mayor. We're having a conversation outside of a motion being on the floor.
So we are done with this portion. We are going to move on to. Okay, Councilmember Wagner. Nope, wrong one. There you go.
Since we tabled the resolution last time, and it was in a different form than what we have tonight, I want to be sure that what we voted on was what we have tonight, because it has a lot of meat in it compared to the one that we tabled.
Dan, did you want to confirm that?
I sent out the revised language, and I requested that permission from the council to allow this to be inserted instead of the other ordinance, and I did receive positive affirmation of that. I actually received no negatives, but I did receive positives.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We will move on to ordinances. We have no new business. We will move on to ordinances. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ordinance number 6643, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, granting to MCI Metro Access Transmission Services Corp., DBA Verizon Access Transmission Services, Delaware Corporation, a franchise for telecommunications services.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of ordinance number 6643.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Baggett.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wells.
I believe we studied this at a study session, and this would allow access so we can provide some a franchise for telecommunications services.
Yes. Thank you. Do I have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 6643, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes.
Next matter is ordinance number 6652, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, creating a new chapter 5.40 of the Auburn, actually, this is the wrong version. It's creating a new section 5.22.045 of the Auburn City Code relating to additional rental house business licensing criteria for multifamily dwelling.
That's different than what it says on our agendas.
On the agenda, but I hope the right version was included in the packet.
Well, let's take a look. This
Well,
says
the one who was included in the packet was the correct
Section
one.
5.22.045. Is that what you all have? when you're
The
looking
title
at-
was wrong in the agenda, but the one included in the packet is correct.
Okay, council all right with that? Yes? All right.
And the title I read was the one that was included in the packet.
All right. Now I forgot, do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of ordinance number 6652.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
I just had a quick question. We had 2 or 3 people who commented on it. Maybe Claude?
Do you want to go ahead and give your explanation?
Well,
And-
my explanation is I'm a little confused as to the presenters. Do we cover the 4 units or not?
I believe they were removed as being small business
And
owners.
can I help you out here?
Yes.
The ordinance, as it was on the agenda, did include up to 4. I believe that there was an intended motion to amend that was anticipated tonight.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments? Councilmember DeCoursey.
Your Honor, I'd like to amend motion 6652.
Wonder what this was.
And your amendment?
My amendment
Councilmember
is
DeCoursey?
in section 1, new section to City Code, under 5.22045, under provision, a new provision B would read, if property owners, property managers, landlords, and/or their agents elect to use a rent income ratio in the rent calculation process, any form of income such as rent voucher or subsidy shall be deducted from the total monthly rent calculation for meeting income criteria in the rental screening process. Would also like to add in there a new section C, I'm sorry, under section C, C1, where it states that multifamily dwelling units means housing where 4 or more separate housing units for residential inhabitants are contained within one building or several buildings within one complex. I'm proposing we change the number 4 to 2, so that section will read, housing where 2 or more separate housing units for residential inhabitants are contained within one building or several buildings within one complex. And then also, that moves in the prior section D into C into a section D. And the last one would be to add section E that will say the provisions of this section shall not apply where one portion of a duplex unit is owner occupied.
Councilmember Holman.
Second the amendment.
Thank you. Councilmember Wagner.
Well, maybe Councilmember DeCoursey wants to talk more about it first.
Okay.
So
Councilmember
we have heard from folks, and of course, as you know, my past career had some relationships with being able to to talk about issues like this. So basically what this does is it allows the city to put in its code a provision where if we have property owners who own duplex complexes, and this is not the single duplex complex where one half of it is occupied by an owner, the other half is rented. So this puts us in a situation where if we have 2 or more of those units that are duplexes, it creates the requirement to follow this code. The other allows the city to put into place the issue that's kind of one of the main issues of the source of income discrimination, where landlords or property owners can ask for 2 to 2.5 times the rental base for people renting apartments or units. In the new item B, this makes a requirement that the subsidy received is deducted from the rent base, making it a more palatable playing field. And then the last is that not to penalize, I'll use the word penalize, which is probably not the right word, but not to penalize a property owner who owns a duplex who does occupy one half. This specifically states that this provision does not apply to duplex owners who occupy one half and rent the other half. So that's why I've made the proposal as I've made it.
Thank you. Councilmember Wagner.
Did you have a chance to vet this with the rental folks? Because I remember they had a bunch of comments about duplexes, and I think you captured him, but have you gone back to talk to him?
With who, I'm sorry?
The rental association. I forget who the guy was that was here.
Rental housing.
No, I have not talked to rental association, but the others that have come forward to discuss with me, I know they have had conversations with those folks as well. And again, I think looking at this where, in the terms where I've changed this to include the duplexes, I think keep in mind that there are corporate property owners out there that own multiple properties with multiple duplexes. So that's where this comes into play more than, again, just the 1 or 2 type of duplexes owned by property owners.
And may I also just help out with one little part of this? The City of Kent ordinance did have a similar piece of language in its regulation.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment to ordinance number 6652, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Now, do I need to vote on the amendment itself, or on
the actual ordinance
itself?
as it has been
All
amended?
Right. All those in favor of ordinance number 6652 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Passes. And council, you generously have decided to forego council and mayor reports this evening. Oh.
I would like to say something as a council report.
Okay. Councilmember Holman.
I'm going to give a council report today because today, May 15th, is Police Officer Memorial Day in the United States. It was established in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy signed a proclamation designating May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. The names of 2 friends and former colleagues are on the National Peace Officers Memorial Service Wall. So, to Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife Police Officer Terry Hoffer, graduated from Auburn High School in 1967, Auburn Police Department officer until he was hired by Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. End of watch, Saturday, November 10th, 1984, age 36. Port of Seattle Police Corporal Ron Parker, basic law enforcement training class number 72, my classmate. End of watch, Monday, June 8th, 1987, age 43. To my absent comrades.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, do we have need for a closed or an executive session?
No, we do not, Your Honor.
Thank you. That's a wise choice for this evening. We are adjourned.